Welcome everyone to another episode of the Wood from the Trees podcast. I really appreciate every single one of you. And if you want to support the podcast and you like what we're doing, if you could support us on Patreon, we'd really appreciate it. And not only that, but you'll get loads of extra content. You get to join the party. You get to dictate what way it goes. And you could win some prizes. So enjoy the show and I fucking love you. So join us on patreon.com/the Wood from the Trees. And for the price of a small little cheap coffee or a pint, you get all that shit. So don't hesitate. Get to it. Get to it. I didn't know what drink to get you.
You're all right.
I got sparkling water, normal water. Luke said.
I'll take the Lucozade if that's all right.
You can take, and I got Monster.
No. I'm a cunt for Red Bull.
Oh, yeah.
Bastard for it, yeah.
Well, that's a very expensive fucking habit.
It is right,
might as well doing cocaine.
Well, no, we'll pull the line at the fucking powder, but do you know what I mean?
Keep this down a bit more so as we can see your face, because all the women... No, down like this, look. See this, look. And yeah, oh Jesus, that's
there we are.
Right job.
Oh God,
James, thanks for coming.
Not a bother.
Long old journey.
Oh, it was a lovely journey. It was just that Google Maps brought me all around the Dublin Road, and then what's it called, up the Galway Road, and everyone was coming home from the All Ireland final.
Did you watch it?
Oh, it was a great match.
You won if you found, did you?
I did, yeah. I was delighted.
Why did you think they'd win?
I had them from the beginning of the year, so I did.
And you hate Galway?
No, jeez, I like Galway. I love Galway, but I'd have a lot of friends in that in Armagh and what's it called. I thought they were a good team.
Yeah.
I was talking to a cousin of mine this morning, and he was on. He says, "I think Galway will do it." I says, "I don't think so." I says, "I think Armagh." Do you know? And I had them for.
Did you call the
since
hurling?
The league?
Did you?
No, not at all. Hurling is a mighty game, but I haven't a clue about it. Do you know?
Really?
I couldn't pick one team from another.
That's what it's like for me on everything.
Yeah, well, I enjoy watching the hurling now.
Yeah, I like watching the hurling. Yeah. It's fast.
It is, yeah. It's the best game in the world. Do you know? It's just.
I'd be there watching these professionals, and they make one tiny mistake, and I'd be there, loser, and I'd fucking coke, and a big fat cunt sitting on the couch.
Look at you.
Look at you. Fuck's sake. And I'm barely able to stand.
I was like that this morning. I went over, as I was visiting the cousin, and the boxing was on, do you know?
Yeah.
And then I said, let her roar, will you hate them? And what's it called? The cousin, he says, no, leave the two of them alone, you do nothing with them.
That's always the way when you're spectating, isn't
That's it? It's easy watching it, so it is.
Yeah. Where are you born and reared?
I was reared in Finlaw, Balnacara, County Sligo, and I grew up on 36 acres of fairly good land.
Big family?
No, it was only myself and my sister. And my dad worked on the railway and my mum worked for the health board. And the two of them, when we got the farm first, it was 94, I think. And when they moved in, the house needed doing, and they washing the fence up, they washing the gate hanging. And
do you remember that?
Oh, God. I remember when we were kids helping them. Dad used to work 6-7 days, so Mum was the main one doing the day-to-day farming, the tractor work and the animals and all that. And then the day he'd be home, it was fencing. It was always fencing, and if you could carry a staple or a hammer, you were out for the day with them. Do you know?
And can you remember it all that well, like with fondness, or did you?
I remember. I have oh God, I loved it. I had an idyllic childhood. I loved it, and our neighbours were absolutely fantastic. I remember my sister being born. That'd be 96, and I have a distinct memory of the Oma bombing. I think that was 97 or 98. I can vividly remember that. But my missus just said to me, "It's one of me." I have woeful recollection.
On moments or just
everything in general, it fucks with your head, so it does. Because, do you know, someone said, "I never said that." I'd be able to go, "You did. And this is the exact thing you said." Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So in some regards, it's good, but it's like a filing cabinet. Everything is filed. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's...
Even the useless stuff.
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, it's brutal. So
you're having a normal conversation where you go, "You didn't fucking say that. I can remember that."
Yeah, but it was what's... I could remember fixing a tractor when I was a kid with a man called James Conway. I think it was a 165, and there was a little plate to the back right-hand side of it. And when you put in your hand, there was like a little wheel, like a half moon. and you could adjust the lift with it, do you know? And years later, I was over in England and we were working, digging a trench through this farmer's place. And fuck me, he was having an issue with the lift of the 165. And I went, it's the same thing. And your man couldn't get over it.
And did that make school easy?
I was wonderful at school. I was a straight A student till I was about 14. And then I got involved in other things and I just lost all interest in school. I started thinking these people are lying to us.
What was the other things?
My uncle was fairly heavily involved in the Republican movement. And when I'd be about 14 or that, he introduced me a bit to it. And I spent 2 years in kind of initiation territory. And then when I was 16...
What does that mean?
Just speaking to people and getting to see what your thought processes were and things like that. And I had all that experience of... So what I got involved in after 97, after the peace agreement...
Did your mum and dad know this?
No. It only came out, it's a year ago. Yeah. I had a double life for years.
So you were like a secret agent?
Well, not as such. I was over and back, and I was in England and on the continent. I was in Africa a couple of fucking times, and nobody knew.
And what did you have to do there?
You'd be doing bits of business.
Like business?
Business, yeah.
And what do they say to get... Obviously, if you're going to do something like that, you have to be shown something that gives you a certain belief that there's no going back from.
Yeah. Well, what was presented to us, like the IRA finished in 97, so it did with the peace agreement. There was probably 50 to 60 men at that stage who, a lot of them had fought for it, some of them had done prison time and all the rest of it, and they felt that the peace agreement negated everything that they had fought for. That what they had fought for was a 32 county Ireland, regardless of when it came and regardless of how it came. And that this peace agreement meant that wasn't going to be achieved. And they were very, very browned off with what they saw as men in suits putting an end to it. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of them had a skill set. You were talking about a lot of men who were teenagers when they got into it and then was on the run for years and then locked up and then they were let out and they had nothing to do. So their skill set was entirely...
negated.
Yeah. And...
so they lost their purpose. They
lost their purpose, but you see, they were very intelligent men behind it. They knew the trouble the Republic of Ireland would be in before it ever happened. I vividly recall being told about the 2008 crash. These men was cashing out and buying gold when people were still buying houses. Right? I remember one fella there from Cuddy, and man, he had a diner with him. And we went, where did we go to collect it? Up Antrim direction someplace. He was buying gold. It had been brought in a diner, yeah. There was a checker plate toolbox at the back of the cab. And we met a truck, it was home from Belgium, and put gold into it and he headed back home and we headed home. Yeah.
And did they not see, say, the peace process as maybe we have to step back, or were they not discussed? Were they not brought into why we're doing it, or was it just out of their hands? They get told, oh, we're doing this and that's it?
The way it was explained to me, there was 3 men that I would have referred to as top dogs. The real intelligent one. Now, 2 of them is dead now, so there. But I vividly remember them telling us that there's 3 people who are behind what actually moves in Ireland. And that was the State of Israel, the Freemasons, including the Catholic Church, and the City of London. And they felt that this peace agreement was given in to hand them over the keys, that they would eventually leave Ireland in a situation where it had no nationality, no sovereignty. And little by little that seems to...
Is the world not getting diluted through e-commerce and just...
Of course it is.
The whole globe is becoming like that.
global attack on nationalism. If you read the literature that the WF has put out and read the literature that kind of the Zionists and the Masons and all that has came out with years ago, the end plan is a nationless globe. Globe with no nations. One bank at the very top of it, which will be your...
It's not too far from that.
You see, this is... the frightening aspect of it was, I sat down with fellas years ago and they were saying all of this. They knew it. Like, that's one of the things. I ran for the Irish Freedom Party and stuff like that. And I see the right wing now, and there's this talk of the right wing in England and the right wing in Ireland, and we should all come together. And I'm thinking to myself, the City of London is behind a lot of this. Do you know, you can't come together because British nationality it's a world apart to Irish nationality. Do you know?
You had a story that you put up, and I just found it really interesting about there's two types of citizens in any country. There's people that depend on the government, and there's the people the government depend on.
Yes.
But the problem is, the people that the government depend on don't know that the government depend on them. Like, Europe pulled the greatest trick on every farmer in Ireland. Mm-hmm. They made them think that they need them.
Yes.
They have them dependent on grant money and all this stuff.
Yes, it is.
When farmers are actually the only people that can live totally without the government.
That's right.
Technically.
Yes.
They could grow their own food, sell their own food. They literally own the country.
Yes.
But they haven't wrapped around their finger.
Well, if you take, there's only 3 groups really in any country that have the capability of changing the entire governance system within a week. And that's the farmer, the construction worker and the trucker. And the reason that most governments around the world fear those groups, there's a lot of reasons for it, but one of them is a physical reason. Construction workers, the farmer and the trucker has a machine of a size it's inconvenient to fucking move. So if you do a simple thing like, let's say, you see, them 3 groups don't come together because the lobbying groups that work on their behalf would never let them come together. You will never see a situation where the lobbying groups, those 3 groups, agree because the government tells the lobbying groups, don't talk to each other. We don't want to see 3 coming together. Because you can imagine a situation in Dublin where every Arctic driver in the morning, every farmer, every construction worker says, sure, we'll go to Dublin. We'll park up. There's only so many towing companies in the country. And the towing companies would be in a situation where they know that those men that they'd be towing, that's their business going forward. So if they are seen to be towing these fellas away, they've lost their business going forward. So politics and all that, but what do you replace it with? This is the trouble.
You can't replace it with anarchy.
No.
And I think people are afraid. Say when I talked to Morris at length about it, and people were sending me your videos and you were running for independence, and what happens is people know everything's wrong, right? And they'll talk about everything being wrong.
Yeah.
But when we live in a society where no one really believes what they're hearing, no one really understands anything, but what they fear more than corruption and what's ahead of them that they can see is the unseen.
That's right.
They're more terrified of, right, this is a shit show and I'm walking into it, but I'm walking into it with my eyes open. And when you have, say, I can only look at things from my point of view. Kids, I spend most of my time worrying about my kids, my family. And
as you should.
As you should. And it's like, oh God, I don't know what's going on. Like, it terrifies me. It terrifies me that we live in a world that everything is very technology based. Yeah. Everything's moving so fast.
Yeah.
People don't care. You wouldn't believe the amount of young people that I talk to and they don't even vote.
Yeah.
Don't know what's going on.
I know.
They have no idea what's going on. And no one has anyone that they can trust. No one believes anything.
No.
And then when you have algorithms, say when you're putting up your stories, the only stories that anyone will ever see yours is the ones where people think you're batshit crazy.
Yeah.
And they're sharing this great crack.
Yeah.
But they're not watching the 20 or 30 other ones where you're explaining stuff. No. And that's the same with everyone. So everyone lives in these echo chambers. Social media has separated everyone into little groups.
And you see, the trouble with the algorithm as well is that phone detects what you like hearing. And it doesn't give you what you don't want to hear. After you are using any social media platform, be it TikTok or Facebook or any of them, once that taps in to this is what gets this person's attention, send them more of that, right? So I do always say it, if you went to the pub years ago, Tom down the road might have 100% a different opinion to you, but you had to listen to it.
Yes.
Because Tom was going to say it.
Yeah.
And you couldn't.
And you weren't going to get fucked out of the pub by having
No, that's it. You had to be civil. And you had to at least give him the time of day and say, all right, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
So what they've done is, well, I'll say it this way now, and it might help a lot of people to get it. We are in a period now, and what it's called is sentient testing, right?
Explain that.
Sentient testing, for the past 100 years, there has been a vast array of technology that's been held back. So you're talking about energy processes where oil and things like that aren't necessary. They're not needed.
Yeah.
But they were held back because that would mean that the dollar, which was backed by the petrodollar, backed by oil, would have had no financial backing without the commodity that backed it, right? So other things like... how do I say it? You know how the electric car, and everyone's talking about the electric car is very modern and all that. That's nonsense. There was a book in Mayo 30, 40 years ago had a car.
There was electric cars back in 1901.
The Ford Motor Company had them. Do you know? There's nothing modern about an electric car. And
batteries are different, all right.
Batteries has came on. But you're still plugging it into a grid that's predominantly either coal burning, nuclear. It still has to get the power somewhere. There's a vast amount of information that there's vehicles developed that don't need that can run on
hydrogen,
0-point energy, all of these things. If you go into the patent office in America, what you find is any of these real advanced technologies,
the oil companies buy them up.
The oil company buys them up, or the military buys them up.
And they don't have to get permission. The military, if they deem it can be a weapon, they
just
can
buy
take
them.
them.
If you build something that could have military purpose, they are fully entitled to buy it and to shelve it in case the enemy would cotton on to it. If you go into the patent rules in America, it's serious, the amount of patents that the American army have on hold. It's outrageous. But anyways, this sentient testing is, a part of that is a cull to reduce the number of the people in the world. Because when all this technology...
Reduce the amount of actual people, the amount of people that can think for themselves.
No, the actual population. If you go into the WEF writings on all of this, Klaus Schwab calls them useless eaters, right? So when you see... This is the bit that, there's a lot of people not happy that there's immigrants and asylum seekers and that coming to Ireland. But the reason they're being brought here is for the European army.
Explain that.
Well, we're already at war with Russia.
Us as
the Western world.
Yeah.
We've been at war with China for 40 or 50 years. People just know it. Iran is on the cards, right?
Is it an actual war or a financial technology war?
It's all basis. So you take a thing like sanctions, okay? So Russia goes into the Ukraine, then all of a sudden America sanctions Russia. They take all their money, they take their boats. That's a financial war move. Do you know? They send the weaponry to Ukraine to use on Russia. So it's a proxy war. It's...
What's the end game?
The end game is to reduce the population of the world.
Is that not happening? You hear Elon Musk and all those lads talking about it, that just the way our culture works now is we all have less kids, more old people.
It's a combination of a few things. You have the replacement rate is underneath 2 at the moment. You have an aging population in Europe and America and all those places. So population is going to drop drastically over the next 10 to 15 years anyways. Then you introduce a war.
It's not in the Muslim countries.
No. They're breeding.
Yeah.
They're breeding. But what's going to affect the Muslim countries is war. So it is. They can breed all they want, but there's going to be wars in those countries.
But there wouldn't be wars in all of them. Say the Arabic countries and stuff, are they not flying it?
Flying which?
Like they make loads of money. They have loads of money.
Yeah, Dubai and Saudi Arabia and all that. But Dubai and Saudi Arabia are armed to the teeth, and that's where Iran comes into it.
But Russia, Iran, like China,
Yeah.
they're all have their own currency now. They're all together.
Yeah, it's backed by gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're not a credit. That's not backed by credit. It's backed by actual physical.
Yeah. And an awful lot of countries, it's backfired on America, because when America pulled the usage of the dollar, let's say you're a kind of a despot dictator someplace and you're sitting on a ball of dollars and you're after seeing, well, at any stage this country can pull the dollar. Why would I have them? I'll get something where at least they're not going to take it off me. They can't stop me then. Do you know? So you have countries like Saudi now who are starting to sell in different currencies than the dollar. That would have never happened a couple years ago. But it's all about... Do you remember the Georgia Guidestones? Do you remember that?
What was that? Remind me.
They're in Georgia in America. It'd be... Well, your man was a Freemason or that. But they put up a monument with commandments on it. And the first commandment on it was to reduce the global population to 500 million. And then it was just shortly after the pandemic began that they blew them up. They were there for years, there since the 80s or 90s, and they blew them up to get rid of to try and get people to forget that it was written out that this was going to happen. Do you know? If anyone had read what Klaus Schwab said, if they'd actually read his books, you know, people say, oh, well, they're going to do this, that, and the other. These people have written it down for you. He has wrote it in black and white that they're going to get rid of a significant amount of the population, and they prefer Asians because the Asian population is used to being commanded, being told what to do. So you think of China.
So does every country now on their backbone just want to heap of people to just do what they're told?
Every country in the world is in the problem that they have promised to give a vast majority of their population a pension, healthcare, all of these things. And they've been printing money to try and provide it. Now, one of the things you says earlier on, a lot of people doesn't want to know that. A lot of people know that the job they're doing isn't required. There's a lot of people goes to work in the morning and they know fucking full well that they're at nothing.
Yeah.
They know full well. It's like we're getting married in November, that we went into...
You are?
Yeah.
You telling me that you're living in sin?
Yes. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
James.
But anyways, we went into the marriage, the registrar place or that.
Yeah.
And the woman read the details to us. A sign here, a sign there, and read the next page, sign here. I says, do you do anything else, like? And she says, oh, well, I have to read you the document. Sure, I says, I can read. That woman goes to work every morning going, well, she's had nothing. That's nothing. You could quite easily do that online without going in near a registration office. Online and AI and all of these things are going to do away with a vast swathe of the need for people.
Yeah. But even in everyday life, like you should see, like when we work in wheelchair.
Yeah.
Like I'm not an old man. Like I'm 44, and I can remember when I used to go to work, and there was loads of forestry workers. There was lads looking after the trees. There was lads be looking after the marking. There'd be guys out all the time. The fencing, all gone, not been replaced.
No, it's the contractor, and the contractor has a machine.
And with AI now, most of these people that are in college now are going to be out of a job.
Well, I was at my sister's graduation, and it was a look of horror on my father's face because both my parents worked and they had a farm, so they got no grants or that. They had to pay. Do you know what I mean? And your man, he's the head fella of the college or that. He comes up with this little flat hat on him and he goes, most of you who graduate today have graduated for a job that won't exist in 10 years.
Did he say that?
My fucking father nearly had him alive.
Oh my God.
After paying paying all the way to get her through her college and
Is
all
your
that.
father and mum still alive?
Oh yeah, thank God.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank God,
And they're in great fettle now, thank God. You know.
And when did you come home from London or in England?
I was all over England, but Jesus be. I suppose I'm home 5 years now, 5 or 6 years, yeah.
And when you came home, were you sick of that other part of your life, or did you come home going, I'm just going to settle into farming now, or what was your headspace?
No, my headspace was, I made a video and it went absolutely fucking viral. It was given out about Apple tax. And I says, I'm at a pitch of my life now where I know a few things. I know how the things work behind the scenes. So I'm going to try and tell the Irish public what is actually going on. Do you know what I mean? The Irish public doesn't...
Was that an actual decision you made? I'm going to start a page and I'm going to start telling the things that I think.
Yeah, I thought it'd go better than it did, but what do you do?
Well, it didn't go too bad. You did run for a political party.
Ah, yeah, but what's it called? I wouldn't heed that. Anyone can run for a political party if you...
No, not everyone.
I don't know. But the Irish public doesn't realise the degree of corruption that goes on. They're not cognitive of it at all. Do you know? The amount of money that's laundered in this country, the amount of tax
was something
that's avoided.
happening that you went, fuck, I'm going to spill the beans on this, or this is pissing me off.
The Apple thing, that really pissed me off, because the tax fiddle had already been done, right? So the amount they were due to pay was already a reduced rate. Do you get me? It's like the mob or something. If you're doing something wrong, they take their slice, right? There's the pie. This is our slice. But with the Irish government, it was, there's the pie. Oh, don't show me the pie. Take away the pie. I don't want to see the pie. They couldn't even take their slice. That's how beholden they were to these tech companies.
And is it the tech companies that they're beholden to, or is it the American government?
Well, the American government is a proxy for the Israeli government. People doesn't realise
why did
that.
the Israelis have so much power?
Because after the Holocaust in World War II, there's an awful lot of people who say that the Holocaust never happened. That's bollocks. It did happen. And not only did it happen, it was financed by the Americans and the Bank of England. Now, anyone can look into that. The Bank of England... Here, think about this logically.
They're not fighting the Germans.
Hold on. Think of this logically for a second. There's Weimar Germany, right? Hyperinflation. A loaf of bread is 40 million fucking marks, right? This hyperinflationary period comes to an end when they introduce something called the Reichsmark. Now you have...
What's that?
It was just a different form of mark.
A different currency?
A different currency. They pretended to back it with land.
Who brought that in?
Hitler's fucking...
Was this the Nazi party?
It was before the Nazi party, but the Nazi party took over shortly after. But what people can't make the stretch, right? In those intervening years, Germany went from a position where it hadn't anything at all to building motorways, building a navy, building an army, all the rest of it. Where did they get the money from? They got the money from America and the Bank of England. If you look at the statements of the head of the Bank of England at the time... Was
that not something got to do with the Geneva Convention?
No, there was the Treaty of Versailles was after World War I, and they had to pay back reparations and all that. Usually what the Yank does, he takes the third biggest party in the country, he invests heavily into the third biggest party in the country, and then they take over. Now, Hitler was selected. He was the head of it wasn't the Nazi party at the time. I think it was Socialist Workers' Party or some shite like that. But they started funneling the money to Germany, similar to what's going on in the Ukraine now. They started funneling the money there. He built the roads, done this, that and the other, and kicked it back to the ones who were giving him the loans from the Federal Reserve and from the Bank of England.
But did England not have huge power over America before World War II ended?
England still has huge power over America.
England?
Mm-hmm. The City of London. It's 3 entities all across the Western world who hold most of the power. That's the Freemasons, the Bank of England, and the Zionist Israel state. Those are the 3 entities. It's no coincidence you go across the board with most of your large corporates from America that Zuckerberg is a Jewish man, You go, Elon Musk, if you go across the board, most of them have Jewish heritage. A lot of people despise the Jews for that. I don't. They have a religion. It's like I says.
They have a religion that indoctrinates them to be incredibly intelligent and successful.
Yes.
So therefore, like in our modern culture as a human, if you're intelligent and successful, you're going to have lots and lots of fucking power.
Well, if you think about that, you've been intelligent and successful for fucking a couple of centuries. It winds up that you wield an awful lot of the power. An awful lot of the power. But the way that the Zionist Jewish people began to wield so much power in America was after the occasion of the Holocaust or that. They realised that anti-Semitism was at fucking... If you read what Churchill said before the war, he hated Jewish people. Hated them. He wrote horrible things about them. Henry Ford, rampant anti-Semite. Walt Disney, hated them. You go across the board, it was very common not to like these people. So they started investing in the political parties in America. They started developing the businesses and lending to themselves and all that. And now they wield the vast majority of the power in America. That's why any president you see hops on a plane, heads over to Israel, kisses the wall. He has to. Because who do you serve? That's... I don't understand it. Like, I seen it in Dublin at the protests and that. And God bless them, it's gay people that are waving Palestinian flags. Do you know what I mean? Should they be fucked off the first building they met over there? Do you know what I mean? A gay person could go to Israel and live their life, they'd be fine. If a gay person goes to Palestine, they'd be thrown off a building.
So, but what's the... So the people that have power, say the Israel City of London. Why City of London?
City of London is a separate entity to England. The Queen or the King has to call ahead before they enter it.
What?
Yeah. You ever been to the City of London?
No.
It's like a little city within the City of London. There's gates. They close the gates at night. They have their own mayor. They have their own... It's a separate country.
So it's like the Vatican?
Yes. Only for banking.
Fuck.
You didn't know that?
Oh no, I never thought of it like that, no.
But then
I'm going to have to read an awful lot of books this week.
Yeah, well, what's it called? There's a fantastic documentary. It's called The Spider's Web. If you look at that, it'll explain a lot to it. There's a market that they developed. It's called the euro-dollar market. So it's basically that as the money has been transferred, they hold it for a little while and charge a little bit and skim it. And, oh, yeah. Oh, they're the launderers.
Finance is so seedy, isn't it?
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah. And then I was trying to explain this to a fellow one time. It's called the 3-card trick. You start a company in Ireland, you start another one in Belgium. It doesn't really matter where the second one is at all. But you start the company in America as well. And then when you're selling in America, you make out that you're renting the patent off the place in Ireland. So you're not paying the tax in America. Then the tax man in Ireland comes looking for his tax and you say, no, I can't give you tax because I'm after taking out a loan in Belgium.
Yeah.
And by the time all of it settles itself, money's gone.
So,
but anyone can do that. I'm black in the face telling people this. If you can play the game to their rules, they'll leave you alone. They will not touch you. Because if you can play the game to their rules, then you can tell anyone this is the game. This is how it's done.
Is it a game of money or power?
Everything's a game of power. When you get to a certain degree, money is meaningless. It's meaningless. Some of these people who wield the power in the world, it doesn't matter a shit to them how much money they have. You take Elon Musk, for instance. Elon Musk could go out to the bathroom window, fire 10 million out of the bathroom window, and know in the next 3 minutes he's going to have it.
Yeah.
That's how meaningless it is to them. So they start getting their kicks by control, by making moves that change society forever. That's how they get their kicks. Do you know? It's like...
but is there not some of them trying to change society for the better or the enrichment of the human race?
You've heard the saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Do you know what I mean? It's like, do you ever hear about the famine in China? Do you ever hear about that?
Mao's
famine.
Yeah,
Do you know what caused it?
No.
They thought that the sparrows was eating the rice in the field. So they gave every young fella a slingshot to kill the sparrows. But what they couldn't figure out was, as well as the sparrow eating a little bit of the rice, he was eating all the locusts.
Mao was a psychopath.
Yeah, but it was a good intention that wound up killing millions of people. They killed the sparrows. Now nothing's eating the locust, and the locust eats everything. It was a good intention. We see this bird eating the rice. We're going to stop that bird from eating the rice. Oh, holy shit, where did all my rice go? Good intentions, you see.
If you were, you came home and you were going to tell everyone what's actually going on, what would you say is going on?
It's the same game that's been going on in Ireland the last, since you're talking the 50s or 60s, since the civil servants at that time started embracing to bring in foreign direct investment. Little by little you sell your sovereignty. But you sell it for improvements in life.
But there's some people who are able to do it without selling their soul.
Very few.
Norway.
Which is, but Norway is taking everyone else's money.
I know, but at least they're not keeping something for themselves.
Oh, yeah, but at the same token, now you have Norway with open border policies. Norway was on a good thing because they had, was it Statoil or that? And what they used to do was go around the world and buy up people's oil reserves for fractions of the money. It's the same thing that they done off the west coast of Ireland. Statoil went to the government and says, we think you have 2,000 barrels there. We'd like to buy the area. Which they knew fucking well it was. They knew the extent of it, but they don't tell the government the extent of it. So a government, the likes of Ireland at the time, that was a fairly impoverished country and in a recession and everything, went, money, take the money. They weren't thinking about actually how much is actually under the ground here.
But is that because there's just people not able to do their job?
A lot of the time it's desperation. So it is. If you're a government minister or a Taoiseach or something like that, you have outward immigration, you have roads that are banjaxed. You're in no position if someone comes with a bag of money and says, here's a bag of money, we want that. You're in no position to go, no, can't do that. Because you have to get voted back in. This is the dangerous bit about politics. You no longer have statesmen. You have sweet shop owner. You have people...
Explain that again.
You don't have statesmen. A statesman for a country would say, I'm going to do the following. It'll be a bit painful at the moment, but in 10 to 20 years' time, here's the payoff for it.
Yeah,
right?
I get you, yeah.
But instead of that now, you have a fella saying, well, I need to do it now because there's another election in 5 years.
But I think, because I've talked about that on the podcast before, I would like a strong leader that I could believe in. And because I'm a man and I live in the real world the same as yourself, it can't always be good news. No. So if you had someone that stood up and go, right, this is the shit show we're in. Yeah. This is going to be a fucking disaster for this long, but here's the end game. Yeah. Instead it's budgets, we're going to give this person this, we're going to give this person that. You don't have that anymore. I don't see any, like when I look at the world governments, who would you look up to? Who would you think, geez, that lad, I like the way he talks. I like the cut of his jib.
You see, there's very few.
I think the Polish minister's good.
Yeah, and the other side of it too is he's setting up his country now for America to have their bases and everything in Poland. They're setting up for war with Russia. So the immigration policy...
If I was Poland, I'd be afraid of Russia too.
Yeah, but there's an element of fear that if you start allowing another country to use your country as a base, inevitably you're going to be dragged into a war.
But if the war, say they can only go from their history, and if war was inevitable, the enemy of your enemy is your friend.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Do you know, like it must be a really difficult thing to do. Yeah. Like in my opinion, I don't know. I'm only a fucking idiot, you know. I do think that education and people knowing both sides of the story is the only way forward, or like people listening to people. It's like free speech.
But you see, the thing with war, David, war is not about one side winning or the other side losing, because the people who wield proper control have invested in both sides. So the purpose of the war is to take public money and transfer it into private entities. Did you ever hear how the Rothschilds took over the Bank of England?
Yeah.
With the horse and Waterloo and all that, and they came down and sold the bonds and all that. That goes back far before them men. You're talking the Roman conquests of Carthage and all that. The proper investors have invested on both sides. It doesn't matter who wins or loses. The purpose of the war.
But years ago, that was a zero-sum game. Like, you could do it for so long until it just everything collapsed. But now in the world we live in now, war is 70 minutes. The world is ended if it gets to that stage.
Yeah.
So you'd hope that if these people have power and they want more power, they don't want that. I'd be always wondering, what are they looking for? Like, even if there's like, do they just want one world economy, one language, one everything? Well, which one is going to win?
Yeah.
But what is the end game?
Well, you take a fella there like Putin, right? And I meet plenty of people who think, he's a great man. He's a mighty man. He stands up for... The man has robbed the country blind.
He's one of the richest men in the world.
He's not one. He is.
He is.
He has robbed the country blind. If he lets another man into power, it all comes out. If another country takes over, it all comes out. And all of a sudden you have the Russian people going, what? How much money were we meant to have? Do you get me? So he's in a situation where he has to go to war. He has to go to war because he has this population that he has to rile up patriotism in and all this crack. And then you hear people on our side saying,
what does he get out of it?
He gets to live out his life without being strung up.
But if war happens, everyone's dead. Nuclear war, everyone's dead. He's not going to want that.
But it's not, nuclear war isn't going to happen. It's not going to happen because it's mutually assured destruction.
Yeah.
So it's not going to happen.
If it keeps ramping up.
But sure, it can't ramp up. Behind it all, you see, an awful lot of people is afraid about this, and I'm trying to tell everyone, trying to tell my partner, everyone, do not worry about that.
I worry about that.
Don't. It's mutually assured destruction.
Yeah, I read a book. It said, if mad bastards have a lot of control,
yeah,
they could lose the fucking plot and just press a button. That's it. Automatically, we're all dead. 70 minutes, gone. Everyone.
That's very unlikely.
I know it's unlikely, but it's like if we live in a world now where no one knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Say like you ran for politics, right? Did you get a chance to sit down and talk to people from other parties? Would they listen to you? If you went into...
they're afraid of their life, yeah.
But even to have a conversation with you?
No.
See, this is what I mean. Like, if I sit down, if I'm in politics, right? And if we live in a free country,
yeah,
right? If I believe something that's batshit crazy, it doesn't matter whether it's fucking horse shite or not.
Yeah.
I should be able to say it, and someone should be able to say...
No, you're wrong.
Why I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And then we move on with some sort of agreement going forward.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a good one. We were at the radio debate for the Tubbercurry Tubbercurry Ballymote constituency. And I says, the biggest problem is the money that's going missing. There was 15 on the debate. Not one out of the 15 went, no, you're wrong. You're wrong, James. That's a lie, James.
Who was there at this?
Everyone. Every candidate from every party and none. There was a few independents or whatever was there. Not one person went, no, you're wrong. And there's the...
What money was this?
Oh, this is at the local election. Sure, it was a month or two ago, I suppose now. And there's the presenter. He didn't say I was wrong. Just move swiftly on. So I was saying to myself, if you're a person sitting at home listening to that debate, right? And here comes out this fella who says, you have a problem. The money keeps going missing. And absolutely nobody goes, no, you're wrong. Where's the standard of debate there? Sure, there is no standard of debate.
Did your wife-to-be and your family, when you told them you were going to run for...
she doesn't pass any heed to me now. She knows I'm...
What did your friends and stuff say, James? I don't know.
No, they'd... They know politics to me is bollocks.
But did you do it as a good one to sort of rile everyone up, or were you serious?
No, I have ran as an independent, and I ran for the Irish Freedom Party with the sole purpose of trying to tell people the truth of what's going on, that they might realise it and they might take a few actions themselves. Like I tell anyone I meet now, you should be saving up food, you should have gold, you should have silver, you should have a cryptocurrency. This economy is going to go overnight. Did you see Leo Varadkar when he resigned? Why did he resign?
Because he knows there's a shit show coming.
He knew there was a shit show coming anyways. He was a bright boy who went off to America and started slagging off Israel in America. He was gone after 2 days.
Is that the reason?
Did you not listen to him?
I did, but I didn't think that was the reason.
What else is the reason?
I thought genuinely the whole thing was, I'm waiting for the economy to collapse for the last year. I thought
look, we're all waiting for it. But the truth of the matter is, you have the November election, more than likely Trump will be elected. And then from November through till January, that's when the next president takes over. So that's the last 2 months of the Biden administration. Now, there you had Zelensky, who was in America a week or two ago, went to see Trump as well. So he went to see the President Biden and made it his business to go and see Trump as well.
He's not sure he's going to be the incoming.
Well, they have, same with Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister was there a day or two ago. He went to see Trump. There's a good one for you. There's a Democrat there called John Fetterman, right? This fucker wears sweatpants and a hoodie into work every day. Every day. He put on a suit and tie when your man landed. Because they know he's the boss. He is the boss.
And does Trump think he's the boss? Trump says he's going to end the war. Is he full of shy? And I'm just asking your opinion.
He'll do what he's told. He'll do what he's told. Do look at America and see the amount of Freemasonry in it.
I see it everywhere, even here.
Yeah. There's, what's it called? The symbolism is everywhere. Do you watch the Paris Olympics? There's a start of it. What do you think of that?
I actually seen a lad's testicles hanging out.
Yeah. They're at the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a child beside him. Yeah. Who was the blue fella on the plate?
I don't know. Who the fuck was that? The genie.
He's a depiction of, I think it's the Greek god of kind of wine and a good time.
Yeah, he's let himself go. It was the horseman that got it for me, the horseman.
And behold a pale horse, and on his back rides death, and in his wake follows Hades. I think that's the full quotation of it. Would you see the bull?
No.
Right. So when Moses went up the hill to get the commandments, the 10 commandments, when he came down the hill, they were worshipping a golden bull. So if you look, when your man is carrying up, the angel of death is carrying up the white, I think it's the flag or something like that. There's the golden bull behind all the officials. They're all Satanists. Do you know what I mean? And they're telling you the plan. That verse with the pale horse as well, I think the latter end of that was, and he was given a fourth of the earth to kill with plague and sword and something else. So that's telling you. And then if you go into the book of Revelation, I think it's the book of Revelation, this is to take place over 5 to 7 years. So they're after telling you through symbolism, over the next 5 to 7 years, a quarter of the population's gone. I'm telling you straight out. This is the bit that annoys me people and about people. They make out that these is hidden things. They're not hidden. They tell you. It's like I was telling you about the City of London or that. I watched Prince Charles going in there, Rothschild met him and started giving out to him. This is meant to be he wasn't the king at the time, but he was going to be the king, right? So you take the fellow who's the head of the country, and there's this Jewish fella giving out stink to him as if you were a young fella after leaving a gate open or something.
Are they not just an iconic symbol for the country? They don't really have any power,
No. You see, but it's like, for the ordinary English person, they think the buck stops with them. You tell you go to the ordinary English nationalist and tell them, like, go to the British Museum. What's in it? Everyone else's fucking shit. Egypt, India.
Yeah. Well, most places are like that. Even America, Washington, sure, it's full of Egyptian.
But you go to the Irish.
Artifacts.
You go to the Irish Museum. What's in it? It's Irish. You go to Poland. It's Polish. It's their own. These countries stole everyone else's.
But that's their identity of power and.
Yeah, but you see, their identity of power is the same. You had the what's it called, Brexit vote. Do you know what I mean? And I remember being over in England that time. I'd be sceptical enough with the EU too, but what I'd want to see is it to be renegotiated. It's a massive market. It's a good market. So you renegotiate things. But I was talking to English fellas that time. And I says, do you know, why do you want it? I want to get rid of the foreigner. And I went, but sure, I am a foreigner. And I says, not you. And I was like, well, what about marching over there, the Polish fella or that? Not him. I was like, all right, so who? Oh, just get rid of the blacks. That was the extent of the argument. An awful stupid argument. See, people think it's about me, that I'm a racist because I'm saying you shouldn't bring asylum seekers here and all this. My point about bringing them here is I know they're being trafficked here and I know they're being brought here so they can be fucked off to a front line to be shot. I feel sorry for them. Where's all these leftists that's going to shout refugees are welcome here when these poor devils is rounded up and put on a boat and sent to a front line someplace?
Sure, will they go?
They'll have to go. Where else will they go?
But who makes them go?
The army makes them go. Do you not see the barracks around this country, how they're being fitted out now at the moment?
Oh.
Have a look.
Really?
Have a look.
So do you think that we could all be called into a war?
Yes.
Me, you, drafted. Like, are we not a neutral country?
Are you under 35?
No.
You might be safe enough then. I'd say I will be.
But are we not in a neutral country where that can't happen?
We're not going to be neutral. They're going to join us to NATO. They're going to join us to NATO. They're moving on it already. The big... the broadband cables and all that connects Europe to America all ran through Ireland. That's your main connectivity hub between Europe and between America. The Russian submarines and the boats has already been off Belmullet, they've been off Sligo. We've seen them. Do you know what I mean? If you talk to anyone on the coast, the west coast of Ireland, they'll tell you they've been there. They've seen them. Why are they out there? They're sussing out where them cables is. So we're going to be dragged into something. There's England. What's on its doorstep? Ireland. Ireland has no army. Ireland has no navy to speak of. Right? So if you're Mr. Putin, would it not be in your benefit to have a base on the doorstep of one of the biggest countries? Of course it would. This is the consequence of thinking for years that if we just spend a few pounds filling the potholes, forget about the army, you know, we'll send off a couple of lads to the UN peacekeeper and all that. That's where we're left now. We're left with a country that has absolutely no ability to defend itself. But
we never had.
But we could have. If we started off rightly at the beginning.
Like even you, so if you're running Ireland, right? James Conway just gets a rocket ship to the top.
Yeah.
You the boss man.
Yeah.
James the boss man.
Yeah.
What would you do to make Ireland protect itself? Like, what would you do?
First trip, Pakistan, and arm every man, woman and child.
In Pakistan?
Oh yeah, that's where you get cheap guns. You ever seen the gun markets in Pakistan?
Oh, arm everyone here?
Yeah. First step.
But sure, if you said to, I'd say, 90% of men and young men in this country now that they do that, they go, right, I'm gone, good luck, I'm not doing that.
They'd have to do it.
I bet they wouldn't.
Yeah. And I'd be of the line of thinking that if I was straight at the top, they'd have to do it.
That's a dictatorship.
So you need a dictatorship.
Oh no. Do you think that people need a dictator?
Gaddafi got all the warring tribes of Libya together, fucked out the French, fucked out the English, nationalised the oil, introduced free healthcare, introduced free education. If you wanted to farm, you were given a couple of acres of land to start your farm. If you were a married couple who had a child, you were given $5,000 and he paid half the price of your care.
Was he not a Marxist?
Fact. And then you take Gaddafi as well. What did Gaddafi do wrong? Gaddafi wanted to introduce a thing called the golden dinar, which was going to be an African currency that was backed by gold. The only reason France is still a country is because they have all those little old colonies below using, I think it's called the African franc or something like that. So all of their raw materials that they sell has to be converted into French currency, euros, that's deposited in France. So they're still running parts of Africa as if it was their own colony.
But it's like good intentions, the road to good intentions. The Russian government, like back in the day with Stalin, like Marxism has great intentions, but socialism has never worked in history.
No, but you can have blended systems. You can have a system like we have in Ireland here. If you're badly off, you get your medical card. And you get, it's not great, but you get the opportunity at healthcare and all that. That's a blended system. At the moment, you have one crowd shouting for communism and another crowd shouting for fucking fascism.
Yeah.
Right?
It's that sweet spot in the middle.
That's all. Just a blend. That's what Gaddafi had. Gaddafi, he nationalised the oil. He says to everyone, you'll get a few pound. Do you get me? It's up to you what you do with it. I'm not going to tell you what to do with it, but you'll get a few pound. I thought, mighty man. Look at the amount of guns he gave the IRA.
So what good did that do with the IRA?
It's done them a lot of good. It was able to keep a war going. Britain, the damage that Britain done in this country is immeasurable. It's immeasurable. There's people there. I don't get it. They don't see it. They just don't see it. You take a population before the 1940s in this country, 8-point-something million. We're still not at it. We're not encouraging our own people to breed. You have a country where off the coast we have oil, gas, wind, wave. What do you get for any of that, or me? Nothing. You could have a blend. You could take all the all the profit that's been made off the energy off the coast and inside solar farms and all that. Have a nationalised company and just give everyone a few pound. People has no faith. One thing that I have always had, I don't believe in. I don't think I need a priest to talk to God or anything. I just say my prayers and I believe in it, right? But if you have a fundamental belief that one day you'll have to answer for everything, and not only will you answer for everything you've done, you'll answer for what you didn't do, which in my book is worse. It's like I was in, what's it called, Croydon one night. Do you know what I mean? And I seen a fella getting mugged. 3, I won't say their colour, I'm not a racist, but it doesn't fucking matter. It was 3 black lads. They're mugging your man, right? And I ran over and I'd done my best to help, right? And one of them had a fucking knife. And I froze. Didn't know what to do. And that tortured me for weeks after.
So that's normal human.
Yeah, but you see, as far as I'm concerned, someday you will have to answer for that. If you have faith, then you're not neutered. If you have faith, you'll fight. If you have faith, you'll do anything. You do anything for your family. Family does that to you. Do you get me? If you have a woman and a couple of children and all that, you're going to do something if it comes to it.
That's your purpose.
Yes. But take the young fella now that can't buy a house, no girlfriend, playing a video game, sticking on fucking porn and wanking himself to fucking sleep. So what purpose has that poor bastard?
Most young lads are thinking, what has anyone done for me? This place I'm out here is a shithole. Because they've no drive. They've nothing to look up to. They don't know what they want to do, what they want to be. They don't know how to act. They don't know how to be men.
It's sad. Because I remember I was pretty lucky. I got the tail end of what I think of as traditional Ireland.
What's that?
Well, to me, it was our parish and every man was working and every man had a good wife who was happy to see him and threw a dinner in front of him. And you could walk into anyone's house and they'd all feed you.
Community.
It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. And then there's all these things that came along. Like, I remember my mother, and I never once thought, there's a woman who's bet down or held or anything like that. My mum got up in the morning, Dad would have been already gone to work. She made our breakfast or that. She worked the farm. She was there. She'd have the dinner hopping on the table when he came home. And when Dad came home, she was delighted to see him. Mm-hmm. I never felt that them two people, that he was thinking, oh, this one's at nothing, or that she was thinking, oh, I'd be better off with someone else. They loved each other. Hmm. But now you have this, like I see it with my, Roisin, God bless her, is very traditional, right? But she'll have mates that'll come over, right? I remember falling out with one of them. She says, the dinner was done or that, and I says, how are you down? And we ate me dinner or that, and she says, do you want tea? And her mate goes, does he do anything at all for himself? I said, shut up, you. I says, you have no man and it'll be the same fucking ways. And it's still the same ways. Do you know what I mean? Mm. But she couldn't even witness that without seeing the bad side of it. Do you know what I mean?
But society has told women a lie. They've told them that the most important thing is career. And
I don't.
It's family.
Of course it is.
You know, and it's the same thing for men. It's the same thing for men.
Yeah.
But I think for men, unless we have a purpose and something to actually work towards, we don't do well.
No, I don't. And you know, there's going to be, and it worries me, does worry me, there's going to be a sight of women in their 40s and 50s that has reached the pinnacle of their career. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't get any higher. Like if you get to the top, you're there. And I reckon that they're going to look around and say, well, I have the car, I have the house, but I have no children. And I reckon that that's going to be very sad for them. Do you know? Men seems to do better on their own than women. Do you know, I knew growing up a sight of bachelor, the happiest bastards you'd ever met, do you know what I mean? But they used to have the company of other men that go and, you know, they'd go for a few pints or they'd meet each other at the football match or something like that. But I remember one woman in particular who was, you know, when we were kids, lived on her own or that. Oh, she wasn't a happy woman. Oh, she was angry. All, do you know, she didn't like you, she didn't like anyone. Do you know? Go to mass on Sunday, give out. I don't think they do well on their own. That's my genuine belief. I don't think they do well on their own.
Nowadays, because we lived in a social culture back then where men went to the pub and men could do that, nowadays, that doesn't exist. So if you're a man now that doesn't have family, you're as isolated now as anyone.
But sure, isn't that why there's a loneliness epidemic or whatever it's called? Should they reckon now the loneliest people is in their 20s and 30s? When did you ever hear of a 20 or 30-year-old being lonely before? So that was something for a poor old person, you know, in their 80s or 90s, that they'd say they were lonely. Now there's people in their 20s and they don't have one friend. Do you know, they don't have one friend. And everyone is pretending that that's okay. So that's not okay.
Everyone has a lot of pretend friends as well.
But sure, it's all false friends on this... TikTok and all this crack and sure.
Yeah, there's also that thing where we live in a very everyone's very materialistic. You know, everyone wants stuff. You know, I went through a long period in my life where I thought stuff would make you happy.
Yep.
And we kind of live like that now.
If you get into the habit of reading some of the good real good philosophers, Nietzsche,
Alexander,
yeah,
Solzhenitsyn,
yeah,
brilliant.
Few and
do you want to hear something scary?
Yeah,
Alexander Solzhenitsyn. You know the Gulag Archipelago.
Yes.
Right, that used to be in the curriculum in school in Russia.
Right.
That used to be in the curriculum to show, let's not do this.
Yeah, let's not
This
go
is
there.
bad, right? This was a failed experiment. Millions died, right? It's out of it now. And if you ask anyone in Russia now on the street, what did you think of Stalin? They'd say, he was a great man. He helped us win the war.
Yeah, but you see, Putin was a KGB man. People forget that. An awful lot of the problems we're encountering now do you ever hear of a fella called Yuri Brezhnev?
No.
Yuri Brezhnev was a Russian defector. He got out of the Soviet Union. And the poor old devil went all around Canada and America trying to warn people about subversion. Because he knew the amount of the budget that the KGB was spending on subversion.
What's subversion?
Subversion is getting out articles in newspapers, creating a television program, doing all these
propaganda.
Yes, but it's reverse propaganda. So it's it'd be as simple as you could take a young fella and get him on a radio show and to start saying, this is a problem here, isn't it? Don't you think it?
But it's not.
But that doesn't matter, because the poor bastard listening starts to think, oh yeah, he's onto something there. And this Brezhnev fella says they were planning to do this over decades. So you had a thing in America, like one of the first things he says they were going to attack was the American family. And the way they were...
As in the nuclear family.
The nuclear family. And he says the way that they were going to do that was to convince women through feminism that they were better off if they had never been married. Introduce things like divorce, all this crack, and then all of a sudden you have the family disjointed and broken up. Do you know what I mean? A guy was chatting to a woman, Denise is her name, she's a feminist, and it drove her demented.
But what kind of feminist? There's a million feminists.
Well, this one is she's a lovely woman. What's it called? She's a lesbian, and what's it called? She was the bra's off and swinging in the air, but she's came back to a stage now where she realises a lot of it was wrong, do you know? But we were on about men, and she says the men aren't the same calibre now and that. And I went, oh yeah. I said, sure, that's your fault. She says, what? And I said, sure, 40 or 50% of men now is getting reared in a house that's just a woman. And then they go to a school and 70, 80% of the teachers is a woman.
So the problem isn't toxic masculinity.
No, it's not. It's too much women.
It's lack of masculinity.
So there's no masculinity. If you think of a young fella that grows up in a single parent household with the mother. Now, if he's lucky, he gets Saturday and Sunday with dad. If he's lucky, right? So that's 5 days out of the week that he gets no dad at all. And then he heads off to school, and more than likely there's no second dad there. It's usually women teachers. So that poor devil goes from Monday through to Friday without encountering so much as one man in his life. And then if the dad isn't around on the weekends or that, he goes 7 days without seeing one man in his life. And then they wonder why young fellas are struggling with manhood and how to do things and all the rest of it. So they have no man's influence in their life. And then you have to be close in age to identify with each other. Do you get me? So to have the same experience as all that. Then you take away the peer group. So he should have his group of friends and all this, but now they're not hanging out together. They're all at home, tapping on a phone, and they're identifying with some guy that's in America, or they're not close, they're not local anymore. Like, it's a huge problem. It's an absolutely huge problem. I don't know how it's going to be solved, to be honest about it. I know that there's going to be a lot less of us. Do you know?
That's very depressing.
That's your...
If it's true, it's very depressing.
Life is one kicking the balls after another. Just get used to it. That's all that's to it. Why there's... I just see... Do you know Morris, the jumper he has on? What is it? No farms.
No food, no future.
Yeah. But the truth is, it's less farmers, more food, different future.
Yeah.
That's the truth, like. There's not going to be... It's not no farmers, but there is going to be significantly less of them.
But that's across the board with everything now.
Yes, it is, yeah. But you see, where does that lead?
But the future's coming whether we want it or not.
It's common, but you see, the life, and I suppose I'm selfish in some regards because I have looked forward and seen things and said, I don't like the direction this is going in. I see rural Ireland in 10 years over. There won't be young people in it because the young people will migrate to where the other young people is, which is going to be the larger towns and cities, right? Then the older people, God bless them, they're dying out. So there. Then what happens?
You will be the older person.
Yes. Yeah. But the middle-aged ones now that's in rural Ireland, if they have an interest in farming, they're going to have to get more land and more land and more land. And if you get more land, you're going to have less and less time to do anything because you're going to be running from Billy to Jack to try and keep all sides going. So you end up with incredibly busy people who don't have any time to speak to anyone. And then incredibly lonesome people. There's no one to speak to. Children is gone. Like, it's a depressing thought. You know, I looked at Morris's... I done serious thinking about that jumper. Because I liked it. Do you get me? What was it? No farmers, no food, no future. But the truth of the matter is it's going to be less farmer, more food, because things is going to get more efficient. And different future. It's not going to be the Ireland we were all reared in.
If you look at, say, you go back in time, like back to from 1500s on, and you look at how people lived.
Yes.
And then you look back, say, at the jump that's after been to now, and it's only it's about 4 or 5 old people.
Yeah.
It's not that lot.
No.
It happens quick.
And it's getting quicker.
Yeah. So technology is just getting faster, exponentially quicker.
Yes.
Are you keeping an eye on the AI thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it cannot be stopped.
No.
So, what you were running for a political party, right? So, no matter what, you can't turn around and go, we're going to disconnect from all this. This is our only hope.
The Amish option.
But that's what I mean. Do you go is the Amish option the only way, or is it
their population is doubling every generation?
Huh? Yeah, I know.
Every generation.
If it wasn't, the Catholic Church done a lot of fucking bad back in the day, right? After, our independence and stuff. What they did do right was they did tell everyone, go home, have sex, make loads of kids. It's the only thing that saved us.
I was watching that thing. God forgive me, my poor mother. We watched that thing on Bishop Casey, was it? Oh, Jesus, it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. But it got to the part where they were on about the amount of times they moved them. Do you know what I mean? It was fucking sick.
Yeah.
But I says it to her, was no one talking about these things at the time? And she says, I remember a teacher, it was a teacher, she said, saying to a young fella that was acting the fucking ass, quit it or it'll be leather frack for you.
I remember that been said.
So they did know.
Well, I thought they framed it as a workhouse. When I heard that when I was young, I heard somewhere that you go, that you have to work, not somewhere you go where you get fucking buggered.
Yeah, but this is... I don't know. What's it called? And it fucking annoys the life out of me. On TikTok, you have these leftists going, oh, look at this paedophile. He was Irish. He's not a foreigner. And then you have the ones on the right going, oh, look, another foreigner paedophile. Can you not just agree to kill all fucking paedophiles? can you not just come to that conclusion?
Or at least neuter them.
That's it. No matter what the colour, take them out. Can you not just agree to fucking do something like?
When you ran for the local election,
yeah,
who thought of the party? Who inceptualized this party? Who was the first person to...
Oh, no, it wasn't me. Harman Kelly came up with a thing called the Irexit Party. He approached me. I ran as an independent in the general election, the last general election, which would have been 2019. I done all right in it. It was good crack. I drove all around the northwest.
What was the vibe you were getting?
Geez, very good. Do you know? Because it was just, what's it called? It was ordinary people, and I'm an ordinary person. And I just said, look, I'd like to do a few things to try and get people to move back to rural Ireland and things like that. And I should have brought the leaflets with me. They were very straightforward. It was just, here's James. James would like to do this. And people were bringing in for tea and all that. It was nice. But then the pandemic happened, and then I started speaking up a little bit about the jab and saying, I don't trust this. Do you know what I mean? I was trying to tell as many people as I possibly could that it was too quick. Do you know what I mean? There was no long-term tests that could have been done. That's what panicked me about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Because the fact that there were silencing people that were actually involved in the making of it, and
that was brutal. There was a woman, was it Cahill, Dolores Cahill or that? And as far as I knew, she had made her money out of vaccines or that, and she was a lecturer in some college in Dublin on this subject and all of that. And she started saying things like, this is dangerous and all the rest of it. And they cancelled her. Just, that's it. We're not hearing from you anymore. But sure, that's like, how do I say? That's like a great footballer who was on a panel show and then someday they went, oh, that's enough out of you. We're not hearing from you anymore. It doesn't take away the fact that he was a good footballer. Do you know what I mean? It just annoyed the life out of me. And I was telling people, don't take it, all the rest of it. Told my family, plenty of them took it. And God forgive me, my father took the, what's it called, the last booster or whatever it was, and he started taking fits. He was never sick in his life, ever. He got that booster and then started taking fits and blackouts. He was all right now, he's on medication or that for it. But the day he was in hospital, there was 5 men in the ward. One fella left in nappies, another fella left on a walking aid. Dad was having fits. There was 2 other fellas taking blackouts. And the only thing that them 5 men had in common was the one batch. No one wants to talk about that.
There's a lot of weird stuff coming out now. And
There'll be more.
Nobody's getting in trouble. Nobody's been held accountable for it.
No,
it's
but
crazy.
It's a strange thing. I says, do you know John Waters? You've heard of John Waters or that? We were talking about this. And he came up with the conclusion that it was like the famine mentality, that after it happened, nobody talked about it. Do you get me? You went through that period where everyone was starving, you seen all the death, you seen what happened out of it, and all the people who left. And then for years after, you just went, don't talk about that no more. It's like the Germans.
Don't talk about the war.
No, don't. That's it, you know what I mean? Yeah, it was.
But there's so much misdirection as well. You know, once one thing finishes, so look over here.
Yeah.
And once another thing finishes, now look over here.
Yeah. See, you're in a constant news cycle. You get very little time to process anything anymore.
Where do you get your news?
Everywhere. Everywhere and anywhere. I'm a fucker. I have one of them boxes, you know, you plug it into the television and you get all the channels in the world type thing. You can find me watching Indian news. You can find me watching South Korean news. It doesn't matter. I'm a bastard for that. I love tuning into another country and seeing what's going on
from the other angle.
From the other angle of it, you know. Because if you think of the Russian war, I have a way of getting around it. I can watch RT, you know, the Russian television. Then you could look at the BBC. Then in America's a funny one because CNN is Democrat and Fox is Republican. So if you look at the 4 things of that, what you get is 4 different stories. It'll be the same event, but it's 4 different stories of it.
But that's the thing that scares me the most.
Yeah, which do you believe?
Yeah, I don't know.
Sure, you can't know.
So how do we make decisions?
The easiest way that I find to making decisions is good books and history. and it's wrote in the Bible. You'll know them by their fruits.
Yes. I believe that too.
It's a very simple thing, do you know? Like take Trump, for instance. Everyone gave out stink about Trump when he was in, but there was no extra war. Do you know what I mean? Stock market was relatively good. COVID happened. I reckon only for COVID he would have been voted back in. Do you know? And that'd be the way I judge it. You take someone then, like for Adker. Do you know? If you're someone who's a tech mogul or living above in Kildare or Dublin on a couple 100,000 a year, you'd be delighted with him. Do you know what I mean? Nothing changed in your life. But if you were someone like me who works on the ground, pays taxes, do you know, all that.
You work and farm, don't you?
Yeah. And all I was seeing was the price of everything going through the roof. And then things that I didn't like culturally happening. And me not being allowed to point at something and say, I can see that. I can see that with my own two eyes. Being told, no, that's not happening. You know, you take them protests in Coolock. I could see Irish people who were trying to stand up for their own area, and I see guards who want to impose the will of the government on them, despite the fact that they don't want it. So those people protested for 2 or 3 months peacefully outside of that place, and they've still done it. So where is your democracy in that? So there is no, like we were talking earlier on about a tyrant or that. What's the differ? What's the differ if you have all these people who are elected in and then don't do?
Because it's the people don't realise they have power right now. We have power right now. We just don't realise it. Whereas if you're a tyrant, you don't have power. You can have the ability to round up people when the shit hits the fan, maybe.
Yeah, if you're a tyrant,
but you don't have power.
Yeah, but if you're a tyrant, there's only one of you to take out.
But then it's a very unstable way to live.
I don't know. I think
I don't see anywhere where it has worked. It's like I genuinely think that it's education and free speech is where we get our freedom.
Yeah, but we don't have free speech at the moment.
No,
and you know a lot of that, and people just say it, but a lot of the problem with free speech is you have people who are self-censoring. They don't say things because they say,
people aren't saying what they're thinking.
No, that's it.
Even I'm not talking about, and I've noticed this, not just when you're having a podcast, or not when you're on your phone, or not when you're getting an interview with radio. When normal interactions are happening between people, people are telling you what they think you want to hear.
That's
and
right.
Vice versa.
Yeah.
Nobody's actually saying what they're thinking.
Yeah.
And I find that really weird. It's like I run this business, right? I have a media company. I talk on my phone. And I do say to other people, look, it's like Jimmy Carr. I've already said the thing's going to get me banned, right?
Yeah.
And if someone asks me, I've already said it. I can't get caught out because I'm just saying what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I could be talking shy sometimes, but I'm only saying what I think. I want people to fucking tell me. It's like I get you on. It's like I had a lot of people. I put a story up one day saying, you know, I have a balls on me like a Bengali tiger.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And I put that voice thing on my hook. You should have seen the amount of people that messaged me saying, yeah, I'm disappointed in you having him on and you shouldn't be giving him a platform.
All right.
And I'm there thinking, this is what's wrong. This is what's wrong. I don't even know this man. I've never had a conversation with you.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, and you're a well-educated man, and this is the problem with, I'd say, when you were running for government, it's long-form conversation. People not sitting down with you and seeing, why are you angry about that? What's going on?
But you see, what I can't get it across to people that everything that's about to occur is written down and given to you in black and white to accept. It's that simple. If you go back to the UN pages from the early 90s or that.
But is it because history repeats itself?
It's not this time. The period we're in now is sentient testing. It's to see if you have enough up here to be of benefit in the next stage. It's a frightening thought. But there's a viewpoint that if you have an IQ of lower than 80, you're of no use.
For the meat grinder you have use if what you're saying is about the war.
Yeah, but you see, that period is going to be used to get rid of people. It's a combination of plague, of famine, of war, and then coming out the fair side of it, you move into a different world.
But say we'll take the City of London.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have...
you need to look into that. That'll blow your fucking mind.
I'm going to download a heavy shit tonight.
Yeah.
But what I'm confused about, if the City of London has so much power,
yes,
how have England in the last, I'm definitely going to say 50 years, just threw their culture out the window?
Oh.
So they have, if they have so much power, how did they make that mistake?
Well, they made the mistake that we are discussing now. Did you ever hear Enoch...
Burke?
No, he's Enoch Powell, I think it was.
No.
It's a speech.
I was wondering where Enoch Burke was coming in.
No. What's it called? He had speeches. I think it was called the Rivers of Blood speech and all that. And he was called a racist. He was called every name under the sun for making the speech. But what he was saying, probably going back to the 60s or that, was that Birmingham was going to be an Arabic city. And he'd done the timeline and all this. Pointed out a lot of things that came through, right? I think what happened to England controlled 1/3 of the world's surface, right? They exported their culture. So you take India, the West Indies, Jamaica, all them places. They exported their culture, their education system, their banking system, everything that was.
You could argue America as well.
Yeah. And they were left in a position after World War II, they had lost a significant part of their young population. So a huge amount of Irish men went over to England in the 50s and 60s for the rebuilding of England. Then you had the West Indians who came for the service economy, and eventually the Indians started coming for the medical stuff and all that. The same arguments that we're having now were had in England. There was dockers and bakers and unions saying, oh, these people are coming in, they're undercutting their jobs and all of that. But it was a slow grind. And the voices who were saying, no, this is of benefit, won out. Then in, I think it was 95 or 96, when Tony Blair got into power, he just threw caution to the wind. He allowed as many people in as wanted to come. It was no longer the visa situation and 30 or 40,000 a year. It was, if you want to come, come. And you can make a good living in England. Do you know what I mean?
No, I get all that. And I have no problem with immigration.
I met a man
you have to be able to respect a culture.
Yeah,
if you go out to the Emirates, if you go out to work in Abu Dhabi,
yeah,
you went in Rome.
Yeah, but you see what happened is the same thing that your man was speaking about, subversion. English people began to be told that you were cruel. You went around the world and you were cruel and you stole people's things and you're evil and all this. And all of a sudden they began to be quiet. When they seen something wrong, they thought, oh, one must carry on, say nothing.
The guilt of history. The
guilt of history. And I met that bastard fucking, that Labour buck in London, Ken Livingston. He was the mayor of London for a while. He was drinking in the Bait and Docket. And I says to him, what is the best thing about immigration? Right? Now, this is a man who was the mayor of a city. Right? He must have the best fucking reason ever was for immigration. Do you know? He must have a list of reasons why immigration is brilliant. Do you know what he says to me? Well, when I was a child, you could only eat fish and chips, and look at all the food you can have now.
Cuisine.
That was the best reason he could come up with. That's as true as I'm sitting here with you. That man was the mayor of London. And the best reason he could come up with for emigration was you could get a kebab. And that's what held the power in them countries.
But that's incompetence and stupidity.
But you want to see incompetence and stupidity that run an election. But people like it. See, when most people is voting, what do you want to believe? Do you want to believe there's young Conway who tells you that the whole thing is corrupt, that the world population is about to be culled, and that there's no real hope? Or do you want Johnny from down the road who has the paint shop who says, things isn't so bad and they'll be better?
That's the lad you're going to go for because people are afraid.
And I don't blame people for that. I have seen what I have seen. I have seen in England and Ireland kickbacks, tax avoidance. I have seen all of that. But I still can't get my head around it. There's a class of people in this country and Western countries around the world who know beyond any reasonable doubt that they're doing a job that's pointless. And that if you come up with an idea how things could be done differently, that you could upset their apple cart. And they don't want that. Imagine you're working there in Intel or one of them places and your job is a diversity person. So your only job is to make sure that you get a black person or a Chinese person for the job. These are the same people that tell you that race doesn't matter. Well, if race didn't matter, then why do you have to make sure you get a black person or a Chinese person? Just take the person who's best qualified.
It's like these lads that own hotels and they're bringing in immigrants and they're putting people in these rooms. If you're running a hotel, it's going real bad and you're barely making ends meet, and next thing you're offered, go in the streets, right? Yeah. Go in the streets, full fucking rooms, you're going to make a load of money. That's your way out. The government, for leaving that there for that person, is ruining that community.
Yes.
It's the government that leaves that option because human nature, they're going to do what they're going to do.
Yes.
Because they're thinking, it's only going to be for a while.
But you see, what they're not thinking, and they can't see it coming, they are going to close their fist on cash that'll be in a bank account, and it's going to hyperinflate away. They don't see that part of it. You see, there's a lot of people in this country who think they're very well off, but fundamentally they have nothing. Do you know, I do often say it, you know, this kind of flash culture.
Yeah.
And they're, instead of wearing the shirt out of Penny's or Asda or someplace like that, you go off to the boutique and you buy the shirt that's €180, right? I would sooner have the shirt out of Penny's and have a hoggart walking around my field. Because at least I know that if shit hit the fan, I could go out and cut her throat and eat her.
Yeah. Not everyone thinks like that though.
No. But that's like when I started off today.
And then someone will argue with you, right? You going off and buying that €2 yoke. You have a little Chinese little girl working it.
Oh, but the Chinese girl is working on all of it.
I know.
It doesn't matter. I've said this to people 100 times. We were, where were we the other day? We were above in Enniskillen at a wedding. And I says to herself, I was looking at these whiskies, and I knew I had drank one with a fella in London at one stage, and I often wondered how much the bottle was of that. So anyways, this particular one, for a shot of it, was £42. I says, no, you're all right, thanks very much. But she says, look at this bottle here. It was Beamish, and it was 30 or 40 years old or that, you know. It was £370 a shot. And I says to her, sure, I says, who buys that? So she says, you'd be surprised. There's people who are willing.
I'm one of them.
Oh, would you do it?
I'd love to try. I've never spent that much.
Yeah.
But I would love to taste a nice whiskey.
Oh, sure, all whiskey is nice. It's all poison, I know, so it is.
But I would like to try some. It's not something that I do all the time, but I would love if I had €300 and I was out and I was there. I may be dead in the morning. I wonder what I fucking have. I €300? Can I do without that?
Yeah,
I'd try it.
Yeah. Well, I remember watching a program one night.
Keep this close to your.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I remember watching a program one night and I thought it was kind of cool. It was this wine shop in London. Do you know all the real wealthy ones drink or that? This Russian fella came in and says, "Give me your best wine." And everyone says, "Well, I have various wines, the various price points." No, he says, "Whatever you have, that's the best." And she says, "Well, the best one we have is £600,000. And he says, "Yeah, that'll do." Everyone got the wine and he took out the card and bought the wine or that. And she goes, "Is it an investment piece?" No, he says, "My dad is dying." They were going to drink that bottle together. And I thought that was kind of cool. I thought that was kind of cool.
The most expensive bottle of whiskey that I had, I got it as a gift.
Yeah.
And me and my brothers and my cousins drank it after we dug our dad's grave.
Ah, that's nice.
So,
well, it's not nice either, but it's a memory, like. Yeah.
But do you not see anything good in the future?
Oh, I see plenty good on my place because we'd be relatively self-sufficient, and I think I have put the right things.
Are you fully convinced end of days is coming?
Oh, very shortly, yeah.
That's depressing, James.
It's a doomer. Yeah, I'm a doomer. I genuinely can't think any other way. It's like I just say to my partner's the most positive person you'll ever meet. Do you know what I mean? And she goes to work and everything's grand. And I says to her one day, "Do you not worry about anything?" And she goes, "No, I have you to worry for me."
But as a parent, like obviously you're not talking like that in front of your kids, sure, you'd fucking terrify them. As a parent, your job is to, shield your kids from all that.
Yeah.
You have to see something for them. Like you're still sending them to school. You're not going, "Good, here's weapons training 101.
Oh no, I trained them all right.
Instead of going to school?
No, they go to school as well, yeah, but no, the older fella know how to shoot you, all right?
Yeah.
I'd be, that would be a requirement.
Were you disappointed with after the votes and stuff came in that you didn't get in?
Not particularly, no, I didn't. I kind of knew I wouldn't, to be truthful about it.
I thought after everything that went on, I thought more people would vote that way.
No, because I'll tell you.
Say when I went in and I voted.
Yeah.
Right? I only voted for independence.
Yes.
Because I was willing to take a chance on any. I'm going to take a chance on what I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because anything has to be better than what's there.
Yeah.
But I was very surprised that more people didn't do that. After everything that we heard, after everything that we seen, after COVID, after I'm seeing every day like the price of everything going up.
Yeah.
I don't know how people are doing it. I don't know how people are doing it.
Well,
you can't even go to the doctor. We moved to a different doctor so as we could get in. Because I work. If I'm fucking sick, I'm fucking sick. I want an appointment.
Yeah.
And you're being told 3 days.
Yeah.
And I'm there thinking, God, the country that's bad.
But most people can't count. That's a significant problem. Hyperinflation, for a period to be called hyperinflation, it has to be an increase of 100% in, I think it's 12 months. It has to be an increase of 100%. But you had certain products like timber, for instance. Timber was up 200-300%. A bag of manure, same thing, up 200-300%. If you go through your groceries, like I remember it wasn't too long ago, a loaf of bread was 120, do you know? Now what is it, 3 something if you're in the
Or even insuring your car or putting diesel.
Yeah. I says this and I thought it was a very good way of explaining where we are with where the value of money is. My father used to shear sheep in the 90s and it was £1 per head, do you know, per sheep sheared. Now that job has not changed. If you go shearing a sheep now, you're still shearing a sheep. You have to catch the sheep. You have to take the wool off her, right? Now you'll get €2.50 to €3. But my father could walk into Fallon's shop when I was a kid with that £1, and he could get 4 cups of tea. They were 25 pence each. Or he could give me the £1 and I could get me bottle of Score, me Freddo and me bag of potatoes.
He-Man bar maybe.
Something like that.
Yeah.
You can't do that now. Now the job hasn't changed. The sheep hasn't changed. The machine hasn't changed. The only thing that's changed is the value of that money. So you're looking there at that euro. Say, for instance, if you thought of it this way, £1 and 25 pence for the cup of tea. You've lost approximately 3/4 of the value of that job. So if you're a block clear now, or your job cutting timber or anything like that, you might think you're getting more, but you're not.
No, you're not. Do you know what scares me about all that? I don't think they can come back from it.
No, they can't.
And I think there's going to be an economic crash to reset it.
It is going to be. Why do you think...
But in what way does it happen?
It hyperinflates. And the reason at the moment that pension funds and all this are coming to Ireland and buying up estates of houses is they know that the house after this is going to have some tangible value. One of the biggest problems in Ireland with farmland at the moment is not farmers buying it, it's investors buying it. And the reason that they are buying it is because they know after the crash, that field will still be there. I'll still get someone to buy it for the new currency. So the wealthy of the world at the moment are moving to gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, fixed assets as in houses, all of that. They are moving away from cash. But the vast majority of the general public is living week to week. They have no money for investing in anything. But the person that I feel rightly sorry for is man or woman who has worked all their life, saved up every week a little pot for retirement, right? And has a fixed pension. Because their fixed pension is going to be worth nothing. And their pot of money is gone. And the government is fully aware of this. This is why you're starting to see government ministers, and they're all senior ones. They've been around the block. They're getting out. And what they're saying is, well, politics is toxic now. It's toxic. Can't take it. It's toxic. Are you telling me a buck that was in politics for 30 or 40 years isn't used to people going, you prick? They're used to it.
Yeah.
But what they are looking at coming now is being hung. That's why they're getting out. Do you know what I mean? That's the period that's coming. Same with asset classes that people think is worth money. A lot of people will think now if you have a vintage tractor or a tractor or something like that, that's a good way of keeping your money together. There's less farmers who'll want them. Do you know what I mean? Mm. You could have a shed full of them.
Yeah, the whole circle contracts.
Yes. Objects, like this is one in Weimar, Germany. A fella, what was it? I want to get the story right. He had a mortgage. That was it. That was it exactly. He was a Jewish fella, and he knew that the hyperinflation was about to start. And he bought up marbles. Do you know, like little kids?
Yeah.
Marbles. And he waited for the currency to hyperinflate. And then he sold the marbles outside the bank and walked in with all the cash he had made from the marbles and paid off his mortgage.
How did he sell that many marbles outside?
You didn't have to sell that many. The currency had hyperinflated so much. You might have he could have had a mortgage for 30,000 marks, right? The bag of marbles had gone from 1 or 2 marks to 10,000. People
how come we don't see more of that when, you know, all this public trading that's going on? Like, why are we not seeing all these mad moving of assets and people buying up certain things and selling off others?
It's there. Do you ever look at their declarations?
No.
If you look at Warren Buffett's declarations or BlackRock's declarations, they are buying up gold mines.
Oh, I did hear that. They're trying to buy back,
So they are buying them. I just don't tell you. You're the last. I always say this is about RTE or that. If you listen to RTE, you're the last to know about anything. Do you know what I mean?
What I found really creepy is, remember years ago, forever, just at the end of the news, they used to have the bottom of the screen, they'd show the Isaac Index and they'd say what was trading and what was up and what was down and what currencies were making. That's gone now.
Yeah.
No one needs to see this, because they'd just see this downward spiral, wouldn't they?
Well, it's up at the moment. But you see how do I say it? 1920s America, before the 1929 crash, John F. Kennedy's father, John Kennedy, bootlegger, used to do poaching and stuff like that, and that's where he made his right money, was during Prohibition. But he maintained that he was going into work one day as a stockbroker, and the fella that was shining his shoes was telling him about the market.
And he knew that was when it was time to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You turn on TikTok today, how many young fellas do you see talking about cryptocurrency and all this?
Yeah, I noticed that myself.
It's not for us. The markets are tied up. I'll tell you a good one. I thought it was a fierce clever thing to do. This fella in America shorted a stock. They make diabetes medication. And then he took out a Twitter account to match the company. And he bought the blue tick off Elon Musk that it was genuine. And then he put out a tweet going to lower the price of insulin to $40 a shot. And the stock price of the company fell through the floor.
Oh my God.
And he got his money for shorting it. I thought that was fierce intelligent. Do you know what I mean? The market, the value of everything is inflated because the value of the currency is null and void. There's been that much money printing. Nothing backs it. Like if you take the euro as a currency, why is it worth anything?
Because we all believe it and believe in the lie.
That's all that's to it. If you take the American dollar before the Bretton Woods Agreement, you could exchange your dollar for gold. The pound sterling was called the pound sterling because £1 was exchangeable for £1 of sterling silver. It was backed. You go back to the Dutch guilder, it was backed.
Yeah. Now it's a digital currency.
But the digital currency is numbers on the screen.
0 and 1s.
You see, the only thing back in the currencies at the moment is the general public's belief that it's going to exist. But that confidence changes overnight because it's exponential growth, right? So in an exponential growth pattern, it's going slightly up, and then it takes off. And we're just here.
But in history, it always fluctuates up and down, up and down. There's always a crash and there's always a...
Yeah, but not with currencies. Any fiat currency, like, how do I say it? Any fiat currency that has ever existed has gone back to its value, which is 0. That's as simple as it is. If something has a fundamental value of 0, it will return to it.
I get so confused. I just think that there's something going to happen. It's like, and all it would take is, say, a really big natural disaster, a war, like you said, something like that, or maybe something like a technology that gets developed that just lowers the price of oil. That's it. Everything's up in the air.
Well, there's China. China has developed a recreative method now of making milk powder in a laboratory. So if they can get that recreative product to be cheaper than the cow produces it, that's your entire dairy industry worldwide gone. And what's back in the Irish agriculture industry at the moment is dairy. So that's the Irish agricultural industry. Toast.
Is that why they're putting so much data centers here to have that?
The data centers were put. I was given out about the data centers in 2019 or that. The data center was put in Ireland because it had a temperate climate. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. Goldilocks climate. It was also Ireland in 2019. It's not too long ago. Very peaceful place. You know, there was not much in the line of war or anything like that.
And educated
workforce. But you see, the educated workforce for the data centers isn't fucking important because there's only 9 and 10 working in them. The biggest part of a data center employment is building it. Once it's up and running, it's predominantly engineers and supervisors and security. They're not big employers, do you know? And if you take the amount of energy off the grid that they require, you know...
I heard something mental.
Oh, it's crazy. It's
the
crazy.
amount of energy they need to cool.
Yeah. And then if you go to Paddy and tell him that we need a nuclear power station, he'll lose his mind.
We definitely need nuclear.
Yes, we do. Which is...
I can't get over how insufficient we are at our own fuel. We bring it all in.
Yeah. Which there's the thing. We stopped burning turf, right? But we're bringing in shiploads of wood chip from Brazil to burn in power stations.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
But does that make any sense to you?
No, it makes no sense. No sense.
Well, you see...
But you're right, they're turning back on they've done that in Germany, they're turning back on the coal burning plants now again.
Yeah, but the Green Party closed the nuclear power plants in Germany. Germany had...
France are making a fortune off of Germany now, selling back the energy to them from the nuclear plants.
Yeah, but David, I'll tell you, I cannot see any other conclusion other than Europe and America are being ran into the ground. And I think genuinely, this is the controversial part of that. I think after the Holocaust, the Jewish people sat down and they said, those bastards done that to us, and we're going to run them into the ground.
Do you think that plan's in place that long?
Oh, I think so, yeah. Because nobody knows the extent of it. The American industrialists funded Hitler.
But what did they get out of it? It can't be just a vendetta for the crack, like.
The vast majority of them were labour camps. The vast majority of them were manufacturing stuff for them. It was slave labour. Why do you think... Do you think every place was a... This is the part nobody wants to talk about the Holocaust. Everyone thinks it was a death camp. This was a death camp, that was a death camp. Death. No, not at all. Vast majority of them were factories where the people who lived there and they had no choice to leave and they got no money for working there. Slave labour.
Yeah.
It was the American industrialists who funded the building of those projects. It was the Bank of England who funded. Did you ever hear of Dutch Royal Shell? You know Shell Oil Company?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, that was owned by the King of the Netherlands at the time. And Dutch Royal Shell were the only company and country that manufactured an additive that all of the Luftwaffe, the planes, needed to fly.
Like a fuel.
It's like a fuel additive that went into the airline oil. They never stopped the Nazis from getting it.
But your war's always been a money-making machine. It still is.
But the Nazis invaded Holland. They continued giving it to them.
Why?
That's what I'm saying to you. It was a bulwark against communism. I'm telling you, if you look into World War II, just look into World War II, it's that time period alone will tell you who runs the world. There's Remington. Remington were making typewriters before World War I. That's
but
what.
If that plan was in place since the end of World War II.
No, there's plenty of documentation that suggests these plans have been in place for centuries.
Yeah, but if they had, they surely would have fucking got their way during the Cold War. That was like the brink of shit, wasn't it?
Yeah, but same thing I said to you earlier. Mutual destruction. Who presses the button when they know they're over themselves?
So this slow burn fucking take everyone out.
Yeah.
And who's left on top?
Well, you'd have the elite of the Jewish nation. You'd have around the world people who have a decent enough IQ. People who are somewhat critical thinking.
You'd imagine if that was the end game, why aren't they stopping AI and...
Why would you stop AI?
Because if you take the natural progression of AI, that creates a whole new entity and it just gets rid of all humans. If that takes off.
Yeah, but they are getting rid of human. AI fits perfectly into their plan.
So they're going to give away their own humanity.
They're going to kill people. They don't need them. Have you ever read Klaus Schwab?
Don't think so.
Well, fucking read it. He refers to us as useless eaters. In black and white. Nobody reads these bastard and things. That's if you were anyone that I'd be talking to and read what I'd be reading. He has it wrote in black and white to get rid of the useless eaters.
But he's only one man.
But he's one man that's in front of Bohemian Grove and all these places where the Bilderberg Group, all of these that meet up with the sole purpose of getting rid of a significant amount of the global population.
But surely isn't there another 20 or 30 opposed people to him? Like who's on our side if that's the case?
There's no one on our side.
Has to be.
The ones on our side is the likes of me and you pointing at it and saying, I think this is going on and all the rest of it. There's a fella there, Alex Jones. You often heard of Alex Jones, right? Alex.
The frogs are gay!
But she's the fucking air.
I know.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Everyone, if you mention that fella, everyone will say, oh, the frogs are gay. Yeah. He made a mistake. It was the
Sandy Hook.
Oh, jeez,
he fucked up.
I was watching that and I was thinking, oh no, man, you've gone here.
God, they hopped on him, didn't they? How many billion are they suing for?
I'm sure it doesn't matter. I know it's because sure the way the thing is done, if he sets up a company, it's not in his name. And sure, all Alex needs is some young fella or a woman along with him that has a few pounds and buy the dinner for him. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
But if you go through an awful lot of what that man was saying...
Oh no, it's been proved so much that he said was right.
Did you ever see the paintings Epstein had?
No, what was that?
You've never seen Bill Clinton in the dress? No.
No.
Oh, mate. Yeah, they went into the house, Epstein's house, right? Bill Clinton in a fucking blue dress and a pair of red high heels on him. And George Bush sitting on the floor like a child with a paper airplane throwing it at two towers.
This is an actual picture?
This is 110% was in his house.
I wish Matt was here. He'd be able to pull it up on the fucking screen and everything.
Oh, yeah, but sure, as I says, and anyone at home, they can Google anything I'm saying. That's the one thing, and I just say to my woman, she just say to me, what? And I go, Google it. And it'll come up for it, you know. He had a picture, Clinton.
Hey, look, if you Google me, I have 13.8 million.
Yeah.
And I don't know who has my 13.8 million. I don't have it.
What, you have 30.8 million euros, is it?
Seemingly, yeah.
Oh, good man, I have not, thank God.
I don't have that either. So I wouldn't believe everything fucking Google said.
Well, you can see the picture. And you have George W. Bush sitting on the floor like a child, and he's throwing a paper airplane at the two towers.
But if that was the case, why would they put that picture there?
Who put that picture there?
I know, but why would they take it? Why would they frame it like that?
Because Jeffrey Epstein was taking the most powerful people in the world and dropping them into honey traps where he got them shagging young ones, and then he used to extort money out of them. That was his operation. Same as people in this country does it. There's a rake of politicians in this country and there's video. I've seen a video, it was a good fucking scatter of the Conservative Party over in England above the pig farm in Scotland shagging pigs.
You seen it?
Yeah.
Can you send it me there?
No, it's in the hands of the Northern Ireland.
And they're shagging pigs?
They're shagging pigs.
Why did they do that?
They were brought there. If you're one of these wealthy elite, right, you can have any fucking woman you want. It gets boring. So all of a sudden they start doing things like landing to Kensington to a house and they're all putting masks on and then they're having an orgy and all this. And this is exciting.
But do they do it as an indoctrination thing? Like, you know, if you do this, we'll give you this, but we need this on you. Or are they just doing it because they want to?
There's various things with it. Do you ever hear of the Skull and Bones?
That's the pirates.
Well, similar enough. The Skull and Bones motif is used by pirates, and it's also used by it was used by the SS in Germany, but in Yale University in America there was the Skull and Bones. It's like a frat house or that. Yeah, George Bush Senior and Junior were members of it, and what's it called? There was a couple. The fellow who developed the NFL, the National Football League, was part of it. But anyways, you have to get into a coffin and wank in front of everyone. The video you're doing it. That's the initiation.
Fuck.
These are you heard of masonry and all that?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, well, there's 33 degrees in masonry, so the ordinary public is told, anyways.
And there's Freemason houses everywhere. I know loads of Freemasons.
Yeah, there's ones there in what's it called, Sligo and that as well. But if you ever say one, just spit on the cross. That's one of the. They don't like you saying that because you're not meant to know about it. But one of the degrees, you spit on the cross, and if you spit on him, you go up, because what you're after showing is that religion is a device to hold the man back and all this crack, right? But if you don't spit on him, they'll pat you on the back and they'll say, "Good man, I wouldn't have done it either, fair play." They're dirtbags. You get to the top echelons of all of this.
But surely the ones down to the bottom don't know that it's like that, do they?
Yeah, but you see, with every degree they go up, they do something with more depravity.
So are you saying all the Freemasons are fucking like weirdos?
Yeah. Yeah.
And have they all the power?
Freemasonry around the world, you have the Jesuit priests, the Vatican Church, Zionists in Israel, and the City of London. In the Western world, they hold the majority of power. Yeah.
So has there ever been a Prime Minister in England isn't a Freemason?
I doubt it highly.
What about the Irish government?
Well, you have Drew Harris there as a Mason, the head of the police force. 100%. There's never been a head of a police force in UK that hasn't been a Mason, and he was the head of the PSNI, so therefore he was a Mason, yeah. Has to be.
Have you ever been chatting to him and have arguments? Would they ever say to you, you can't be saying things like that, or we're not like that, or?
No, because if they start, it's like a fella says to me.
Did you ever go to a meeting?
No. It's like a fella says to me one time.
Were you ever asked to join it?
I was asked once, yeah. I was familiar with what went on before I was asked, and I said
I was asked as well.
Yeah, don't do it.
Oh, hardly.
That ends up the ultimate. You see, the real.
I'm just busy, you know.
Yeah. The real currency in the world, people just don't understand it. They think it's gold. They think it's the dollar. It's dirt. If you have dirt, significant dirt.
But with phones now and technology, everyone has it, don't they? Your common man has dirt now on people.
Yeah, but they don't know how to use it. They are experts at using it. Say you're a politician. Easy enough thing. And
just putting it out there, if I was, I'd be a dirty politician and I'd be jobs for all the boys and I would take backhanders.
Well, you're honest anyway. Say you were a minister for commerce in England.
Yeah.
Just for instance. And your secretary rings you one day and says, such a fella from such a company has requested to have a meeting with you that, you know, bother at all. You book him in. You hit it off, you say, what's it called? Talking to each other over a couple of months, develop a relationship, Do you know? All of a sudden, it's not Mr. Conway, it's James and all this first name terms and all the rest of it. We'll go for a scatter of pints. Right. Go for the pints, do you know? Get him well fucking lubed up with drinking next thing. Jesus, we might go to the whore. You have him. He's in your pocket now. That's that's how politics works.
Is it that bad?
Yeah, it's that bad.
So politics is broken.
But your politics and power, it's all broken. You're dealing with a society that has no morals.
Yeah, but at the same time, people now have a better life than they did old person ago.
Yeah, this is the...
You know, there's a lot of, like, society has a lot more positives. We have nicer lives.
Yes.
Our kids are safer. We're getting more educated. We have more information. We just have a very hard time of separating the shy from the good stuff. Like, we have too much information now.
Yes.
But we can all get so wrapped up in how the bad stuff, because it's bad.
Yeah.
You know, and we're hearing all the bad news from everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, ignorance was bliss.
That's right. Yeah.
Years ago.
Yeah.
But now, if you're, say, you and these things affect you and you want to help, and it can get so depressing because you're focusing on the negative.
Yeah.
But how do we, as a culture and as a society, focus on the positives and move forward?
Because you'll have the massive period of negative and it'll be positive after.
But how do we get onto the same page that we know what the negative is?
No, I'm telling you, it's very, very simple. This has been planned out for decades. There's too many people. That's the conclusion that they've came to.
But there's not enough people in the world.
In what regard?
The population of the world is actually declining now.
Yeah. But that's what they want. They not only want it to decline, they are speaking about figures between 500 million and 1 billion.
That's a huge cull.
Yes. Yeah. And they have written this. Leftists don't want to talk about this. I'm not spouting shite here. You read what the UN was coming out with in the early 90s, what the WEF is coming out with now. All of these groups that represent the people who wield actual power, the heads of nations, the heads of the corporates, all of that, are speaking about a future with significantly less people. Because of things like AI, because of things like robotics, because of things like advanced technologies that have been kept back over the last 100 years to build wealth. Here's an interesting one for you. Take Africa, for instance, right? Just take Africa, for instance. All of Africa's fairly well-educated individuals have now been brought either to America or Europe to work for those systems. Their youngest, their bravest, their strongest young fellas are now making their way from Africa to Europe to be used in a war. What population is left then in Africa? There is a population left that is mostly uneducated and not capable of making the journey out of the continent. In sweeps the Western powers after the war is over to consolidate all their resources. They put the mines in place with the robotic machines to strip all the resources again. And then you have these clowns. Woo, refugees, welcome here. They're stripping their countries. It's a colonization all over again.
Human nature is just a circle of...
fucking each other.
Yeah.
Take the west of Ireland. I remember my Uncle Martin, God rest his soul, the early 2000s. He says it to me, James, I won't see it, but you will see it, that the west of Ireland will be planted with trees and it'll be a playground for the rich and famous because it'll be too hot in Europe. What did he know?
No, enough of it planted.
That's what I was laughing on the way down here. I couldn't see a rush for left, right or centre. You'd want to start pulling bowel on, so you would. What's it called?
Sure.
Or buy a few sheep for yourself.
There's fucking plenty of sheep up where I am.
There's plenty of bowel-ons in it too. So.
I know. That's just a few lazy lads that won't top it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, they're too busy because they're working up in Intel.
Doing the forestry and all
No,
that.
they're fucking working up. Half the people around here are working up in Intel. And fucking,
They're all on mega books, though.
yeah.
I have 2 cousins in there. So I do. They're all on mega books. So
You like down gold?
oh, yeah.
Have you invested in a lot of gold?
So the tax man is watching. I have nothing.
That's the fucking shot.
Yeah, what's it called? Anyone out there who has money, I would strongly recommend it to have gold, silver. Stay away from crypto if you don't know much about it. Do you know what I mean? But you can research it a bit and all that. But land if you can afford it. There was never a bad time to buy land. They're not making any more of it. It's an asset throughout history.
Would you buy it in your country or out of your country?
It's a good question. It's a very good question.
If all this shit that you are saying comes to pass, and would you think that you're safer in Ireland where you are, or is this a bad place to be?
The one good thing that Ireland has is you have a good water supply, pretty fertile land, relatively safe. I know a lot of people, they're all talking about the immigrant situation and all that at the moment, but do you know, if you put our country in comparison with England or France or something like that, we're still not at the same levels of crime, if you get me, do you know? So I'm hoping to see it out without moving. But I know plenty of people and they're on about Paraguay and places like that.
Well, first of all, I hope that never happens, right? I fucking hope that never happens.
Would you?
A war, right, or anything like that.
You're already born.
But what I...
There's no...
But what I have noticed is, during COVID, and watching the way people went on for toilet paper, scared the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
Because if something happened bad in the morning, God help people in cities.
Yeah.
They'd eat each other.
Yeah. Well, you think of it this way. Wake up tomorrow morning. The currency is hyperinflated. And the price of oil has gone up tenfold. Very realistic situation. Very realistic situation. What happens to the truck driver then? I think of it this way, a very, very simple, very simple thing. Some major oil supplier in the morning has an earthquake. And the pipelines, and you know the pipelines that they use for oil and gas, they're solid steel, rest for. Let's say one of them is broken and everything is pouring out on the ground now. All of a sudden the price of oil is going through the roof. Like, we have so much dependence on very delicate systems.
Yeah, it's very delicate infrastructure that we live with.
Yeah. Think of a cyber attack. Do you know,
no one would have access to money.
That's what I'm saying. If people thinks that there isn't young fellas sat in Russia getting paid a weekly wage to try and hack us, they're away with the birds.
I actually the electricity went a month or two ago, and I couldn't get over
how dependent you are on it.
Not just that, how my kids did not know how to act.
No.
How there was nothing. And I was like, I'm after getting planning permission for a house.
Yeah.
And I cannot begin to explain to you how stressful and how hard it was to just build a house with a chimney.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, the stress.
Yeah.
To get a fire in my house.
Yeah, sure. No. Yeah.
And when the electricity went, the house that I'm renting has no fire. And you're there thinking, fuck me, like. Yeah. Everyone is totally dependent on outside sources for heat, energy, warmth, water. It's so weird that
but
we're
the state is dependent on your dependence on them. If you take someone like myself I have my own few things going on. I don't need the state. Do you get me? I lay it. I can walk around, make an odd threat, do what I want. And they fucking can't. If they're dealing with someone who genuinely doesn't give a fuck.
Are you afraid of the law?
No, not particularly at all. What's it called? See, I'm up in an assault charge at the moment, you know.
Why?
I hit a fella. I hit two fellas. One of them pulled out the thing.
Mickey?
Huh? No, what's it called? He pulled out his case. There was two of them. I hit two of them. But anyways, the minute that they
Why
said...
did they hit you?
Huh?
Why did they hit you?
They didn't hit me. I hit them.
For no reason?
Oh, sure, we'll go with that. Yeah, for no reason. It's that.
Just ran up behind them.
That's it. Buried them. But anyways, the minute it went to court and the minute I heard district court, all that went off in my mind is 1 year up to 5,000. You know how people be worried? Oh, Jesus Christ. The minute I heard it was district court, I was like, oh yeah, 1 year up to 5,000, it'll be fine. No one can tell me that you haven't satisfaction out of doing something like that.
You were happy enough with the 1 year and the 5,000?
Matter to me.
Would you leave your kids for a year?
No, I won't. I won't be fucking sentenced for that. Not a fear of it. Not a fear of it.
How are you so certain?
I ran in
They sent Enoch Burke to jail.
I ran in the first election. I was brought to court by the Standards in Public Office. Up to 10 years, up to 50 grand of a fine.
For what?
Because I wouldn't disclose where I got my money out of. You're meant to disclose when you run an election where you get your money out of.
I never knew that.
Yeah. The minute, ask any
Can you
politician.
not just say I got it myself?
You can say it. I didn't want to tell them. I felt that it was beyond their fucking realms to ask me where I got it out of. You live in a democracy. Everyone's entitled to run in the election. I landed with my €500 in cash and I paid me 500 deposit. It was none of their business where I got it out of.
That's only that much money they were wondering.
No. It's 500 deposit to run in a general election. It's 100 to run in a local election. You're meant to disclose where you got your money for your posters, where you got your money for your diesel, where you got your money, blah, 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 blah. You're meant to disclose it. I don't go fuck themselves.
But if you say I got myself, does
You
that
can
do?
say, no. They want to know. They want receipts of where you made your money. They want receipts where you got it out of. Did you get any donations? All the rest of it.
Is that not to make sure that some company's not paying you to run?
I imagine it is. But that doesn't matter to me. If you live in a democracy, every constituent within the democracy should be entitled to run for the election if they so fit. And they shouldn't be asked why, and they shouldn't be asked how. But anyways, I went to the court, and the state prosecutor was there, and 3 civil servants who were in the office at the time, and the Sligo champion, the Sligo Weekender, the Connacht Telegraph were all sat in a booth to the right-hand side, taking down everything that was said. And I said my little piece. I used my little bit of common law instead of maritime law, and the case was thrown out.
They don't use maritime law, do they?
Yes, they do.
Why?
Ireland's law system is maritime law. It's not the law of the land.
How's that? I don't
Because
understand.
the law system in Ireland is still a deviant of English law.
Is all common law in the Western world not a deviant of English law?
No, maritime law is what they're using.
So what did you say to him? I just don't have to listen to what you're saying. I don't stand for this. I don't see it as a real
I
court.
recognise it.
And you could just walk out.
Just thrown out.
Awesome.
Judge, you have to.
You may teach me how to do that.
You have to. What's it
I got
called?
fucking rogue on the way home.
Judge Kevin Kilrain came out of retirement to hear the case.
And were they bullying with you?
Who?
Like when the boys in the newspapers, what did they say about it?
Never wrote a word.
At all?
At all. At all. Kilrain came out of retirement to hear the case.
Was he nasty to you?
Not at all. He was delighted that somebody knew it. Why do you become a judge?
To uphold law.
It's because you keep even getting people off. That's why you become a judge, mate. It's nothing to do with upholding the law. If you're a good solicitor or barrister and you get enough criminals off, they'll make you a judge because they get fed up with you. That's the thing.
Jesus Christ. That's just depressing.
No, but sure, what else do you think it is? Lorraine was a fucking great judge. Straight judge. If you had the law down, out the door. Thank you very much. He was a solicitor and for years he represented drink driving, Republican cases, the whole fucking lot. And he kept getting people off. I'll tell you one, I won't say who it was, but there was a book, Drink Driving. It was the time the camera phones came out first. Do you remember that? Mm. And he was brought into the station, breath of light, whatever. He had one phone call. He says, I'll ring Kilrain, do you know? And he answered and he says, did they take the boots off you? He says, no. Well, he says, if they don't take the phone off you, take a picture of your boots in the cell. He says, I will, right, sound, no bother at all. That was grand, went into the cell for the night. Now, this book was fucking stocious, but he just had the common sense to ring your man. And came to court. Gerd went up and gave his evidence. I pulled him on such a road. He was a danger, this, that, and the other thing. Graham goes up and he says, was this man a danger to the public? Yes, he was a danger to the public. Would you say he was a danger to himself? He was, yeah. Would you say you had a duty of care for this man? Oh, I suppose I did, all right. Would you explain why you let him into a cell with enough rope to hang himself twice? And there was the picture of the boots. Out.
Really? Is that the way it is?
Of course, if you get enough people off, they'll make you a judge. That's all there's to it.
All that's very depressing.
Why?
Because you think the world works a certain way, and then when you hear the world doesn't work a certain way, it gets very confusing. It's like your man giving your one a few slaps, he doesn't go to jail. Enoch Burke goes to jail for just protesting. You hear stuff like that, and you're there. God, I hope fucking nothing happens to me because I have no idea what way this works.
But that's half of the problem in the world is people don't realise the law. If a lot of the time, if you're on the other side of it, invoking it is stupid. Do you understand me?
No.
It's like a fella says to me one time I was being questioned for something. Do you know?
How many times have you been questioned for something?
Fucking balls of times. Balls of times. You don't realise what my poor woman has gone through. You don't realise it.
And do you mean it? Like, is it just you get frustrated with stuff, or is it just when you see something you can't help yourself? Or
no, if I have all the T's crossed and I's dotted, I'll do it.
But does it help do a certain task, or are you just doing it to say fuck you to the establishment?
Both. Depends on what I'm doing. Depends what I'm doing. Do you not understand the establishment fucking you every day of the week?
I do.
You don't understand the thrill you get by fucking them a little. It's class. But anyways, I was being questioned, and then it was this detective says, oh, what if this man does this to you? I says, I'll dig a hole. Huh? I says, I'll dig a hole. There won't be much good telling you about it, will there? Most people don't get that. They think, ring the guards. Ring the guards. Like your man. The guards must be rang.
Ring the guards. The guards are... This man's very aggressive. This man's very aggressive.
What do you think the guards done in that case?
Did they say that you were threatening him?
No, but in that actual case where your man goes hammer on the tractor and all this crack and that fella, ring the guards, ring the guards. What happened? Everyone winds up in court. All the solicitors makes a few pound and laughs at them. And then the judge has a good laugh. And the whole country has a good laugh at them. Who achieved anything?
Nobody.
Exactly. As I says to a book, be on about...
well, the solicitors in Young's made a few pound.
Yeah, but you see, it's like if a fella came up to you and he says, you're this, you're that, you're the other fucking thing, right? And all that you really have, all that any of us really has in this life is our name.
But did you ever hear that saying, and a very clever man said, debt becomes debt becomes debt?
And so be it.
That's a very nihilistic way of thinking about it.
It's not one bit. If you go out in this world and you're not your own friend, you're nobody's friend.
I'd agree with
And
that.
you can't be everybody's friend.
No, you can't.
Right? So I have lived a life where if someone, like for instance, I had a deal one time and a fella fucked me. He absolutely fucked me. He was beyond another country, I was at home. And we're on the phone together and I says, isn't getting paid, is it? And he, oh, well, this, that and the other thing. Well, I says, it's like this. That's me and you over. Oh, what do you mean by that? I says, I mean, when it's me and you, you'll be fucking over. He knows that, and I know that.
And did he knew you, obviously. He knows.
He knew it. I'll tell you what he done. He got fond of fucking Colombian Martin powder for himself and fucked everyone. Not just me. Fucked everyone under a bus. So, do you think if I meet that fella that I'm just going to go, do you know, it's a long time ago, it's not worth it.
Yeah. You're going to just give it to him.
That's fucking getting it. What other way would you be? How else can you be? That's what's wrong in this country and all around the world.
But then that means that every time you have a problem with someone,
that
you have to actually
do
violence.
It. Oh, no, not violence at all. Not violence. Not every fucking problem warrants.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, not every problem warrants it. But not every problem negates it. I wouldn't never hit a woman. I wouldn't lower myself to that. But any man, no.
If you need to slap, you deserve a slap.
You're getting it. I've lived by that.
Well, I think that a lot of people, I think the last podcast that me and Greg and Mick done, you were there, like young people aren't afraid of older people anymore. It's a problem. If you don't respect older people, if you don't respect elders, and you're growing up with no fear, like lack of respect is, it's not good.
Yeah.
To men not to respect other men.
Yeah.
But then when everyone looks at other people and they think everyone's a fucking ego around them and there's no repercussions to that.
Aye, but at the beginning of this, do you remember when you said it and what's it called? Young people or this, that, the other thing. Do you know what I mean? You were on about young men and that.
Yeah.
You had nothing positive to say about them. Do you know what I mean? And that's what they're hearing from our generation all the time. So why the fuck would they respect us? So we haven't an ounce of respect on them.
But you have to earn respect.
Yeah, but how did they earn it?
But you have to earn respect before it's given to you. You don't just get it. You have to do something that warrants it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is, if the attitude is, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that, they don't want to do the other thing. I work with two lads there, 19 and 20. Great lads. One of them will drive a dump with the other fellas in the trench. Best of lads. There's another fella there working with me, older than me, and all he does is shout at them, roar at them. And they're doing nothing wrong. He has to make himself feel important. Do you get me?
Yeah.
Whereas I'll say to them, do you want to go to the shop at break or that? Jeez, you're doing mighty work there, that's fair play to you.
But that's just because you have more emotional intelligence than the other guy.
But sure, how emotionally intelligent am I when I go fucking round deck and all before me?
But you're not obviously doing that. You're after telling me there that you only do it when it warrants it.
Yeah, but you see, this is what I'm saying is there's a disconnect between the older generations and the younger generations that can't be rectified unless the two of them comes together. It can't be rectified. And nobody is trying to rectify it at the moment.
How do you rectify that?
By spending time with each other.
Yeah.
By speaking with respect from older ones to younger ones and stuff like that. Do you know? And I think an awful lot of what's wrong at the moment is young people are told, unless you have a college education, you're an expert, this, that and the other thing, that you have nothing worth hearing. Do you get me? Some of the most interesting people I've ever spoken to was older people. Do you know an old fella who had worked on the farm all his life and all that? Jeez, you'd knock hours of interesting chat out of him. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't happen anymore. It's not right, like. An awful lot of the younger crowd, they're not out on the sites, a lot of them. Do you know what I mean?
But there's very few out on the sites.
Yeah.
But a lot of younger people don't know how to talk to each other. They've missed out on that form of communication. When people grew up years ago, we were all raised by our cousins and our friends. And
That's
our
right,
family.
yeah.
So now there's smaller families. People have been raised by their parents and not their siblings.
Yeah.
So unless you work in a job where you're having to banter with lads,
Yeah.
you don't have that.
There's a lot of that as well, that our cousins and all of that were all the one age with us.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So when we were in Finland, there was probably a gang of between 10 and 20 of us at any time that would just meet up, and wherever you seen the bicycles thrown outside the house, you knew that's where everyone else was, do you know? And that's missing now. Do you know, it's a pity. But how do you rectify that? Because I'm telling you, we're going into a world where there'll be less.
I know. Hey, I'm not feeling fucking. I'm not going to be buzzing going home now, Rand.
No, it's what's it called?
Are you happy about anything in culture in Ireland right now? It can't be all bad.
No. Decline in birth rate. More people being diagnosed with cancer than ever. Do you know what I call it? What you're on about there? Toxic positivity.
No, not toxic. You have to look. If there's no joy in life, there is no life. If we don't have something positive to work towards, we don't have anything. You have to believe that, or you wouldn't be able to raise your kids. If you didn't have something that was positive, we wouldn't be able to do what we do as parents. You know, people that talk like that, the end game on that, you hear them. I've read the books on lads that ended up killing their wives, their kids, because they were there. The world's too bad. Everything's fucked. I'm not letting them grow up in this world. That's where that nihilism comes into.
No, I won't. My thing was...
Do you get what I mean, though?
Yeah, I do.
Do you know that?
But you see, that's the whole death spiral type thing.
Yeah.
My thought process is the positive comes after. I think we have to go through this period. We have to survive this period. And then the positive comes after. But the question you put to me was, do I see anything positive in it now? I don't. I see a very, very dark period that we have to get through. That's all I see. I hope we do get through it. Do you know what I mean? But I wouldn't... What I mean by toxic positivity is there's a rake of people in this country and around the Western world, and they get up every morning and they're as happy-go-lucky and they don't think anything is awry at all. They can't see it. Can't see where it's going to end up. That's I don't know.
I do get what you mean. We can't be all going around willfully blind. So if we're willfully blind, like we're only seeing the positive and we don't want to deal with the negative at all.
Yeah.
That's how everyone, even in your personal life, if you don't deal with the little skeletons in your closet, they're going to bite you in the arse.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you're one of these people that doesn't want to put yourself through hardship, you're only pushing the shit down the road because it's coming for you anyway. You know, if you're one of these young lads that wants to stay at home and do nothing and live your life, that's grand. But it's going to come and you're going to get to a stage in your life where you won't have your mommy and daddy and you won't have all this money coming to you and everything's going to hit you at some stage.
Yeah.
But we have to have something to work towards. We have to know what's coming. If we don't know what's coming, like you could shout from the rooftops what you're saying. But if no one else is there saying, you know, maybe we should be looking at this, the masses aren't going to hear it.
No, that's what you see. This is the issue that I've had all along. The message that you're bringing is not positive. Like the way I look at it is, I believe in Christ our Lord, in God. That's the positive for me. The positive for me is Live this life true to yourself. Do what you think is right in the situations. One day you'll answer for it, and hopefully you'll be rewarded for it. I've been told through me scriptures and all that I'll be forgiven. That you'll be forgiven for what you've done wrong, this, that, and the other. Right?
Yeah, but Jesus wasn't going around hitting people if they pissed him off. He was forgiving them.
Jesus wasn't a pussy.
No, I know.
Jesus went into the temple and turned over all the money changers' tables. Jesus went round and went to the lepers that no one else would look at and kissed them on the face.
But that's because in the New Testament, one of the deadliest sins was credit.
Usury.
Yeah.
Well, if you read the Quran or that, the Muslims are against usury as well. Yeah.
And they don't even have credit. The credit over there isn't the same as the credit here.
No, it's not. No.
It's a totally different system.
It's a Sharia system.
Yeah.
So it is. Yeah.
It's actually a better system.
Works out for them all right. So it does. Did you ever read the Quran?
No.
It's good. It's worth a read.
Would you consider turning Muslim?
I was very close. I'd done a winter in a halal meat factory. And I was working in the kill box. I wound up in the kill box with two Muslim fellas. One fella from Pakistan and the other fella from Syria. Just we got on like a house on fire. And they gave me this English version of the Quran, and I read it and that. But I've read the Jewish one as well, the Torah. And
That's heavy reading, I heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know that they all know that off by heart?
This is a good one for you. If the servant wishes to stay with his master, he shall be pierced in the right ear. That's in the Torah. Do you not get that?
No, what does that mean?
Do you not get where the trump get pierced the other day?
That wasn't meant, was it? Was it?
I'm only telling you. If the servant wishes to stay with the master, he shall be pierced in his right ear.
But in life you can find connections with everything, can't you?
Of course you can, but Shrai says that to a book in court. Yeah, you can swear on the Bible or the Constitution, right? You're better off swearing on the Bible because you can argue most arguments with the Bible. The Constitution limited enough, so it is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? What's it called? I have a faith. I fervently believe that this world is kind of like purgatory, and that your job is to open your eyes and try and leave it a little bit better than it was. Do you know? But I don't think the way to do that is by being Mr. Nice Guy and saying nothing. And I reckon the best way to do that is to get to the bottom of everything that's going on. Do you get me? And try and expose it for what it is. This is one of the most corrupt little countries in the world. It's brutal. If people knew the levels of corruption that goes on here. But then again, they don't want to know.
Will you be sitting down with your kids and explaining all this to them? And
not until they're ready. And I'm talking about probably into their 20s and all that, you know.
Did you find out too early?
Yeah. Yeah, far too early. Far too early.
Did it
But then
scare
again,
you?
not particularly, no, but I was a weird kid. I was 8 and 9 sitting down reading books about World War II and the United Irishmen and all this fucking shit, you know what I mean? That's what the uncle spotted. That you were a little bit of a protege, as the man says.
Had you got into all that before he...
No.
No, but he had noticed you were interested in all these things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like what he noticed, especially was I could hold a conversation with an adult on most subjects and know a little bit more than them about certain things. A lot of adults find that intimidating. Do you know what I mean? Because someone could talk to you about the dairy industry or something, do you know? And I could go what they were doing in Holland and what I had read, and I could remember it back and quote it. And that was useful.
What do you do to relax?
What do I do to relax? I like to go down to where our river is. I like to have a smoke and watch the livestock, watch the sheep, watch the hens, watch the ducks, something like that.
What's your favourite part of the day?
Probably dusk. Dusk, yeah. Just before the night. Yeah, I like that.
Do you like to get up early in the morning?
I do, yeah. For work. Not if I'm not working, I don't. If I'm working, I don't mind
Do you
it.
like films?
Oh, God, yeah.
What's your favourite movie?
Oh, where do I start? Do you ever watch There Will Be Blood?
Yes.
That's a good film. That's a good film.
Do you ever watch American Gangster?
Oh, with Frank Lucas and that, is
Denzel
it?
Washington.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you ready for these questions?
Yeah, why? What do I have?
Answer them quick.
Yeah.
Don't think about them too much.
No.
What's your first vivid childhood memory?
There's a lot of them. Like a good one or a bad one, or does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
I have a fierce good one of me dad carrying me into the house. Fierce nice one.
Asleep.
No, I was awake, but I was pretending to be asleep. He brought me down to the room and patted me on the head and that.
That is a nice memory.
Yeah, we were coming home from, I think it was Dromore West, and my sister wasn't too old, and I was a bit jealous of her. Do you know? Fierce nice memory, yeah.
And what's the worst one?
I won't talk about it.
Bad.
Mm.
Does it still annoy you?
Mm?
Does it still bother you?
Oh, it is, yeah.
Were you very young?
Huh?
Were you very young?
Not very young, no.
Who brings you the most happiness in your life?
There's my partner, my children, yeah. Each in a different way, do you know? Each in a different way.
Can you remember the day your first child came?
I can remember each of them. Yeah. You never forget it. Heart Shaped Box by Nirvana was playing on the radio when I was born. So it was.
What do you wish for your kids?
I wish I'm wrong about everything. That's what I wish for them. I wish to God I'm wrong about everything. I could live with that.
If you walked into a room with everyone you ever knew, alive or dead, which one would you walk over to first?
Uncle Martin.
How long has he gone?
Since I was 16.
Close with him?
Fuck I. Yeah. Best friends.
What would you ask him?
I suppose, where did I all go wrong, mate? Do you know? It's a good man. The right good man. Bit misunderstood.
Like
Do
yourself?
you know what I mean? Bit misunderstood, but I'd go over to him, yeah. And I'd say thanks for all he done for me. Do you know? Left you. I'm in the cottage that he used to be in, farm. Do you know? Helped an awful lot. Set you up for life.
Can you remember the last conversation you had with him?
I can, yeah.
What was it about?
He was on the beer.
Were you with him?
No, I wasn't with him, no. He was on the beer and I'll tell you that was only a phone conversation. I remember the second last conversation I had with him, I was below in the room and he says to me, I won't be around for too much longer. And I says, where will you be going? He says, I won't be around for too much longer. And I'd say it would be about maybe 5 days after that he was dead. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Drank a scatter of whiskey and took a scatter of tablets, and that was the end of it. Yeah.
Why? Did you ever find out why?
It was 1 month, it was 2 months to the day from when his partner died.
Fuck.
Heart was broke. 2 months to the day. He stuck around for the month's mine, do you know? But didn't wait for the 2 days to be up there.
That's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking.
That wasn't nice, but sure, it's one of those.
Could you, when you were young, you couldn't understand probably why you're...
When I was 16,
Yeah.
I had a fair idea. Yeah. I knew his heart was broke.
Well, this one I know the answer to. Do you believe in God?
Oh, yeah. Do you believe in him yourself?
I do.
Why?
Because I feel it.
You can feel it.
Mm.
Good man. Do you ever, how do I say it? Do you ever try to prove it with logic?
No, I don't. I don't. And I used to disprove it.
Yeah.
I used to try and disprove it with logic for years.
Yeah.
And then I grew up
Yeah.
and I had a few experiences
Yeah.
and I genuinely felt I could feel it.
Yeah.
And now I spent so much of my energy trying to disprove it,
Yes. Yeah.
reading books, and then started listening to all these audio books about quantum physics. And the more that I done that, I actually was proving it to myself.
Yeah.
And I just feel it.
Yeah.
Feel it with my kids. I feel it with my wife.
Yeah.
Feel it when I'm working with my brothers.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe that you can spend all your life trying to disprove it, but you won't. Fella says to me in England one time, and I thought it was a good one. He says, "Why try to disprove the unprovable?"
Mm.
I thought that was a fair statement.
Yeah.
You know, it's a waste of energy. Like, I just, from what I've read and what I've seen and what I felt, I just know it was.
And everyone believes in something. Some people's God's money. Some people's God is whatever they believe. Well, it gives me comfort anyway.
I reckon it's something there. Do you believe in aliens?
Yeah.
Yeah, same as that. Yeah, I reckon they're what's running the whole show here.
I believe in a lot of stuff like that. I look, I like to consume. I have a very boring job.
Yeah.
So I consume
Yeah,
lots of shit all the time. But I had a few experiences. If you listen to one of my first podcasts, and I had an experience with some DMT one time.
Right.
And it just threw me for 6.
Yeah.
And I went down this road for 2 years just trying to figure shit out.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure it out.
Did you see the creatures? You did.
I fucking did. First time I seen the creatures. The second time I seen a her.
Oh, tall blonde one.
No, it was I want to say kind of a lizardy shapes.
Oh, reptilian type shit.
Geometrics. I can't even. But when I came back from it, which felt like forever.
Yeah.
It was always more real than now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so hard to verbalize it.
Well, they reckon, I've talked to a few people on it. Fierce interesting people, do you know what I mean? But you'd have to be in the right room to have the conversation or that. But they reckon that there's entities who feed off negative energy and entities who feed off positive energy and all
Fucking
that.
people like that too.
Yeah. But
when... do you know when I felt most close to God? And this is going to sound weird. I never said this before. When my father was dying.
Yeah.
And we were all in the room.
Yeah.
His whole family.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Like nieces, nephews, mom, all of us. All there. And you could feel it.
Yeah.
You could feel love. Like, it's a weird thing. Like, if you feel love, like when you love your kids.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe.
But it's better than you can be on your own. Do you know what I mean?
It shows you that people, we all love each other.
Yes.
We're all connected.
Yeah.
You, me, family, kids.
Yeah.
And what happens is all the stuff that you're talking about that is most negative about society is the disconnect of society.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine if everyone had to tell the truth, or at least don't lie, and we all loved each other like we love our kids?
Yeah.
Dystopia.
Yeah.
Or if it wasn't, we could make a plan.
Yeah. But how do I say it? I just reckon that if everyone would forget money and power, do you get me? If people could be content to help each other out, but forget about money and forget about power, do you know?
Well, and that is great, but unfortunately, the fact that we have to pay to live in a world we're born into.
Mm.
We still haven't reached that level of I don't know what it is. in our
See,
society.
I think that's common. I think the next stage after this is the kind of UBI effect, where nobody has to do anything menial labour that they're nearly working for to pleasure their own mind, if you get me. Did you ever read Utopia by...
yes, I did.
That's a good book.
Yeah.
That's an old book, so it is. But you see, the closer it seems to get to this period we're getting to now, he wasn't fair off the mark, so he wasn't. No.
What's the most painful thing you've ever been told?
We have a little girl in with autism, and she's non-verbal, and being told that she might not talk. That was bad. Yeah.
How is she now?
She's 6 now. She's still not talking, like, you know. Lovely little girl, happiest girl you could meet, you know, but no talk, you know.
Have you your own way of communicating with her?
Oh, God, yeah. She'll take me by the finger to the fridge if she's hungry, and what's it called? The remote if she wants to telly on. And yeah, communicating, you know, but it would have been lovely to what's it called? No, she'd speak to you one day, and there's uncertainty about that and all that, you know. No, yeah. That was fairly painful, all right.
That's tough on you.
We get through it, though. I do. What's it called? One of those. Life is one kicking the balls after another. Just get on with it, do you know?
How do you define success?
I think I've done it. I have me home, me farm, me partner, me children. Couple of occasions in my life where I was left with another man, and it's either you or him. I'm still here. Really? Yeah.
Like fighting?
Oh, fucking... None of these teeth is me own, me good man.
Really?
Not at all.
All of them?
These 2 is gone, and that one... Yeah.
How'd you end up in that situation?
Sure, that's life. Some days you end up with another man and it's you or him.
I've never had that.
I hope you never do.
So do I.
Yeah, I hope things keeps going fantastic for you.
Would you think...
Of course it's down to myself.
You wouldn't want that for your kids.
No, that's why I keep them away from it. Yeah.
But that was...
I'm fighting since I was 14, 15. Getting into situations, led into situations, different philosophies, all of that. Yeah.
It's not good for you.
Not good for the mind, but it's good for the soul, because then you have this kind of rebirth moment where you go, no, not anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Can you remember that moment?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a good woman. A right good woman.
Was she the one that done it?
It was various things. It was, what's it called, coming clean with me parents and my partner and all that, and saying, you know, this is what I was at. And
were you scared to come clean?
A little bit, yeah, but do you know what I mean? It's life. So it is. It's life. So it's one of those things. That incident with them 2 fellas above in Sligo, that was the last time I was like, no, I'm not having this. I'm not walking away from this one, like, do you know? I had led what I consider to be a pretty exciting life and a pretty good life and all of that. And I hadn't done much wrong to a lot of people, if you get me, do you know? But I looked at what they were doing and the community that they were going to leave behind them, and I says, no, I'm not having this. I'm not having it. No one else would do it. Do you get me? So sometimes you have to stand up and be counted.
You done a Batman on it?
That's it, yeah. Without the cape.
If you could change one thing from your past, what would it be?
If I could change one thing in my past, what would it be? Nothing. Genuinely nothing, because you are where you are because of everything that happened to you, and you are who you are because of everything that happened to you. So if I go back and change anything, it's like the butterfly effect. I don't know where the fuck I'd end up at the latter end of it. If I could change one thing, if I could go back and make sure my mother didn't have cancer, do you know that she didn't have to go through that? But with regards to myself now, I'm happy. I have the scars to prove it. I'm happy. So, so Laird, what's it called? Why change it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm happy enough with everything. So your telly's gone off there, so it is.
That's because we're here so long.
Oh, fuck, sorry.
Can you remember the last time that you felt hopeless?
I do, yeah. I do. Yeah, it was only a couple of weeks ago, so it was.
What was that?
Oh, just thinking about everything after the election and looking around Ireland, and I said to myself, what hope is there for this at all? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I came round to it again, and I was thinking, the more than yourself, sure, you have to have some bit of positivity about things, do you know? Yeah.
How do you handle and process emotions?
Poorly.
That are negative.
Huh?
That are negative.
Poorly.
Are you getting better at it?
Getting a little bit more settled with age, yeah. When I was 22 or 23, you wouldn't want to know me. So you wouldn't, you know. There was no go back at all. So there wasn't. At least now there's a bit of a calming effect, and mightn't do that, you know.
What are your plans for the future, James?
Plans for the future is to get through this period I perceive is coming, and then to do regenerative agriculture and just keep working my jobs and spend my time with me woman and kids, do you know? That's the plans for the future.
If you have any advice for the masses out there, what would you say to them?
Get ready. Stock up on food. Stock up on a bit of ammunition. Currency that's backed by something.
James, thanks a million for calling.
Not a bother. Thanks for having me.
Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it, so I did.
It's not as bad as everyone thinks. Although I'd say that's my longest one to do.
Is it?
That's right, stay talking all night.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with it. Will you come out for a fag, will you?
Yeah, no bother. Anyway, I'll chat you.
No bother.
Good luck.